Hello and welcome to Zaxria. We are back for another night at the Not So Round Table for some D&D action. I want to just have everybody please, if you can, continue to watch. We just need to average more viewers to get to affiliate. We also have that Patreon set up, so if you're watching and you want to check that out, it's in the About section of the Twitch page. You can just go ahead and look at that. Also with the YouTube, checking that out. The podcasts are on there. We started doing a couple board games here and there, and we're going to do that more frequently, so that's up to look at as well. But last we had left off, jumping right into this, you guys had made your way to various locations in order to assemble some sort of a plan as to what you're going to do next. There was a lot of jumping around and back and forth as to what the next step would be. You had close encounters with at least ships that were dealing with the Taken Serpent, where you know that Anders' brother has been captive for quite some time. You decided that you were not ready to do so, and through some strange bit of logic that you came up with, decided that it would be better to strengthen yourselves by going after some sort of terrorizing white dragon in the mountains as opposed to the pirate ships. But okay, we're going with that. So you guys are on the way for that.
We're going to fight the pirates.
I don't either. We're changing our plan.
Making your way in that direction, before getting to the point where you are now, you made yourself some preparations, I guess. Moldrak went and visited Rygon Stonebeard, who is this dwarven master of earth, who was located in the Brimshire Mountains in a small little village of a lot of dwarves with the same similarities and abilities that he has, the ability to kind of manipulate and meld and shape earth. You found that he is one of 4 masters you already knew of that are responsible for protecting portals that lead to other elemental worlds. The world that he's protecting, obviously, is the world of Earth, where you ventured into to fight an Earth elemental by yourself and receive its core for the boon of it, essentially, strengthening yourself. After doing so, you returned to the estate where everybody was. You guys discussed and came up with some form of a plan. Got to Arcanoria, where you began to glean some information and look into a few things. Azrael had discovered a couple of things that were relevant to your guys' current task and some things that he had his own agenda for. Discovering for you guys, there was a village in the far north, like kind of western portion of the Brimshire Mountains, called it's a dwarven village by the name of Fardahir. You discover this through a passage written by an individual who you've been being referred to as Zeke. You guys unsure of their relationship or who he is, but or even his existence. But for Azrael, you just kind of gave information that there was this dwarven village that had spoke of a white dragon in the area that they are currently in. You guys traveled to Arcanoria, where you then jumped to the Lyceum. No effects that you can tell from the teleportation. Not really too knowledgeable on the teleportation and such anyhow to know if it could have any effects. But at this point, you are heading and venturing north. When you got to the Lyceum, you left Magisterium Asarius' room, where the portal leads to from Arcanoria, and discovered a very strange encounter that Azrael had with an individual that he bumped into, somebody appearing human, but revealed to Azrael as some form of arcane demon in a way, or fiendish type creature. None of you saw this, but saw the encounter they had. The individual seemed very fearful and frightened of him, just from a small, graze of the shoulder, kind of running into one another. But at this point, you are now climbing the mountainside. So, to catch the two of you up to what is going on currently, so you have a good idea. There was a lot of travel by sea for a minute. Not like by sea, it was actually more by air. They went to Arcanoria, if you remember Arcanoria, the kind of floating city in the sky. Got on a sky ship, where they ended up traveling into the Sea of Souls, which is that far western part, and it's very hard to traverse and navigate through there because of some sort of magnetic field. But flying above it, they were able to go around and do some stuff. fought some sort of, I'm pretty sure you were watching the episode, fought a lightning beast, harvested all of that, and ended up flying back and finding some sort of a ship that was belonging to the Taken Serpent and overtook it, brought that back, and decided that before going after the Taken Serpent and finding this island where all of these ships are at, where Anders' brother has been captured, that they were sending people to Southbrook in order to try and make these kind of globes of glass that have a compass inside of them to help navigate in the Sea of Souls, because of having it under the water is able to see it because it's not in the magnetic field. So right now it's kind of like a wait and do other things type of mode for everybody, if I'm getting that right. So everybody's just trying to do what they can preparation wise, and you guys came to the decision to go to the far northern part of the Brimshire Mountains, where for them a long time ago, jumped to one of the previous characters, Gorak, his family was like killed and destroyed by this white dragon. So for now, that is where you're heading, to see about the location of said white dragon and possibly slay it or deal with it other ways. But you are right now leaving the Lyceum of Gilead and heading into the mountains. So you guys have a little bit of a preface as to what is going on.
Right on.
Okay. So, at this point, you walking up to the mountain range can see how vast and mesmerizing it actually is. You remember several trips that you've taken through here, one of them being the venture north to the kind of northern lake side of Lake Rumenheim in search of that temple where Tenebris once was. As for Neris and Zarvrax, your guys' travel through here a while ago was much different of an encounter. We won't really get into that, but you guys all having different experiences coming through here, all understand its vastness and kind of maze-like quality that the mountains have themselves. They are easily traversed if you've ever been down the path you've gone, because although it's very vast, there are a lot of very significant landmarks that you can kind of navigate and work your way back to and around, and it could be difficult getting lost in here if you really didn't know what you were doing, but you guys are knowledgeable enough, and especially with Moldrak's background of being able to navigate places he's already been, you have no issues heading in the direction you need be to head. You can see the stone walls are this gray kind of slate color. They're sprinkled with these flecks of kind of darker gray and blacks inside of them, that you start to realize now much of this, like buildings and structures that you've seen pretty much all throughout Zaxria, share a likeness with it. You imagine most of the stone that people use for building or other purposes come from the Brimshire Mountains within Yolgard. Your first day of travel is pretty easy. You can feel the first bit of walking is a bit of a drastic slope for probably a good hour or so, but after that, it's just this kind of gradual incline into the Brimshire Mountains themselves. You'd imagine you probably have a good 2 weeks of travel ahead of you, at the very least, to try to get to the northern side. That's just depending on what the actual mountains get towards areas that you've kind of unfamiliar with and haven't traversed quite yet. The sky itself is clear. The sun peeks over in the mountain edges, like kind of as you walk. There's this bit of a pass where the mountain walls are a little higher up, and it's blocking the sun from some directions, but for the most part you can see that the sun peeks its way in, and you're able to get bits of light shining at the top side of it, not quite on you, but in the mountain enough to where you have a good visual. It's almost like just walking constantly in some form of shadows. You look up and you can see Lumeron, the essentially native bird to all of Zaxria. Soar the skies, and shimmers of all colors come through their vibrant kind of rainbow speculums they have on their wings. Walking through here, is there any discussion or preparation you want to do before getting further into the mountainside?
Nope, we just want to fight the dragon. Go.
Jump ahead, please.
Is this the same
cutscene,
path
skip
we took
cutscene.
before?
Yes, very similar.
Why can't I see it?
So it has like the signs
Yes, like
and
warning
little
for.
alcoves and whatnot.
Yep, definitely like further ahead from where you are, like right in this moment. But yeah, you do know that this has like all of the signs of like warning, landslide. For the most part, it starts out in all common where it's warning of the landslides, and then it gets into a dwarvish text because they feel people who aren't dwarvish really don't go that far into it. But the beginning signs definitely let you know of landslides. Then there's all of those, probably every 2 or 3 miles, those outcroppings that have been carved into the walls where you can kind of tuck into in the event of such a landslide. So that is always in the back of your mind too. Yeah, this is the same path you took before.
Do we see anyone else? Or is it just us?
For the good hour or so walk that you take to get further into here, no, you don't see anybody
Do we
else.
see a white dragon?
No, do not. Oh, yes, you see one. You got me. You got me.
He got me. He's like, are you sure?
Yeah, you see-
He's like, shit, he pressed me, now I have to say it.
So we do see one. Is he in the sky, or can we fight him now?
No.
I want to chuck Andrew off the nearest mountain that I see.
So for you,
Someone's
Czar and Neris, a task such as this for you guys is a little like unsettling and would have bothered you a lot more before had you not had the encounter you had with Zaxria in the Feywilds, where you're kind of this understanding that there is good and evil in all sorts of creatures. But you're still like a little hesitant and might be as such up until you finally really understand what exactly is going on. So just like having that in the back of your minds,
Yeah,
just
totally.
for you guys. Yep. Okay. Anybody want to do anything before you get to further point in the mountains? Whatever, any sort of preparations, talking, discussing, whatever it may be.
It's going to be cold.
Going to be cold.
Where?
Did we all bring warm weather clothing?
We probably should have thought about this, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
I got like this jacket's pretty warm.
Oh wait,
Okay.
got a cold resistance.
You might. I'm right.
Yeah. It's possible.
So that's a no.
I did
That's
explain that village
This
to
is
them.
the best I got.
Yeah, you explained that you read information. When I look back at the stream, it's that you read something about Dwarven Village, and they were talking about dragons or something like that. I don't remember your exact wording, but you told them.
Oh yeah, ice freezing
Do you
resistance.
know anything else about this village,
Nice.
Ezra?
Name, I think it was like fair to hear.
Is that before or past the old guard?
It's fairly recent. They're,
But do you know where it is?
it's pretty remote.
Okay. Well,
People there, from the description of the writing, do not seem very intelligent.
I don't like that. That's
Tell
crazy.
it like it is.
well, that's fine.
So do we go to the old guard?
I mean, either way, it's going to be pretty treacherous heading to the northeastern part.
Well, I think we should at least have an idea. I mean, we have a name, but we have no idea where we're going.
Yeah, maybe they can point us in the right direction. I mean, we're already on the path to the old guard, so.
Seems reasonable.
The only thing
I don't know.
is that
It's always a thing.
yeah, the old guard is like quite far east.
Oh.
And you're kind of heading towards the northwestern portion. Because you guys have actually traveled a pretty good amount of the northeastern part of the mountain range. You're pretty positive there's a lot you haven't, just because of how vast it is. But that northwestern part of the mountain range is something you guys really haven't been into too much, aside from Port Rumenheim and then going into that little bit of mountain where the hags were.
So we sailed this way along the shore. Did we see any sort of villages
Excuse
or
me.
lights along the way when we were sailing past?
When
to
you were
go-
sailing past, yes, there are coastal dwarven small villages that are on their sides. A lot of them don't really have names of the villages, so you're not really assuming it's anything coastal. And also in regards to, the dragon itself, may not be attacking the coast very much. You'd imagine you're looking for something pretty deep in the mountains, kind of remote. Also for the fact that a lot of people in Zaxria haven't seen a dragon in fucking several, centuries.
Having lived in the tundra, would I have heard any stories or anything about possible creatures like this?
Go ahead and make a history check.
Okay.
If you're proficient in history, if not, you can just make a wisdom check.
I'm not proficient in history.
You can make a wisdom check.
9.
9. The tundra that you were in was a lot more of a tundra than it was like a mountain, like icy area. It's a lot of just like very, very long stretches of just ice and snow. There's not really a lot of mountainous type of terrain that would make you think anything that you would have encountered in your tundra would be anything similar to what is in the Brimshire Mountains.
Okay. Lead on. Yeah, the old guard's kind of out to the
I
way.
also think maybe if we can find even like a small village on the way, whether it's the one we need to find or not, we might be able to purchase some warmer clothing.
That's probably a good call. I can just kind of make some fire for now, and you guys can huddle around it as we walk.
I know you're a fire dragon, but you still have like cold
That's
resistance.
the best I can see what we have in the bag as well.
My assumption is I've never had anything except with
Oh.
cloak and pants on, so and I was in the cold
For like a
5 years, so
Yeah.
I think I'm alright.
Same.
Until
I
you
got
got the
used to
hat
it.
and turned it into a Rambo headband. All you were rolling with was cloak and pants.
oh my golly.
I mean, I don't know how much they would help, but I could give you guys all torches if you start to get cold.
I should be okay.
It's
Cold
probably
doesn't
gonna
bother
affect.
me.
Yeah, it's probably gonna affect Ander, Connor, and Azrael more than anybody.
Okay.
Not Skip. You're trying to meddle in.
He locks up.
If anything, you guys notice for the first time that Czar's, the cloak he has on, actually like can be pulled around onto his shoulders and can cover most of his body. So,
Yeah, he does.
I could give you
Doesn't
one
seem
of
to
you
bother.
guys my fur cloak. And you could wear that.
Is that a growl or a stomach?
That's armor.
Oh,
That's a white dragon.
it's a white dragon.
I'm not
Alright.
too bad for right now. I got my jacket and stuff.
Okay. Well, I'll just continue leading on and to the northwest of the mountain range, following the path as best I can.
Okay. You're definitely heading towards the northwest because, like I said, you've done a pretty good portion of travel in the northeastern portion. And also in that northeastern portion is a lot more terrain that is not as high of a elevation as the mountains that are on the northwestern portion of the mountain range. Also in that northeastern part, when you get close to the coast and on the northern side, there's a lot of like trees and forest type of terrain and environment. Where you were in that Rockwing Peninsula, there's a heavy bit of forest there that leads down into the kind of almost like crater of the mountainside, where you found that village. And all that terrain there, based on their elevation, they are just kind of like, it's almost like a dry spot in the mountains. There's not like really too much snow that gets there. It's just this very, very strong rock that is sitting around inside of here, and it's very like hilly and kind of, I guess I wouldn't say hilly, it's more jagged, like jagged terrain, as opposed to these very, very tall gray mountains. There's a lot of like brown earth and like dirt and such that is there. Could have effects because of the portal and such, not really too sure, but you know that you're not looking in the northeastern portion. It's going to probably be like almost directly due north in the middle or northwestern portion of it, so heading in that direction is your best bet.
I guess I'm gonna try and keep my eye out for like harsher weather and just try to head towards that. Just because
Okay.
that's what I feel like.
You can make a perception check. The only thing is that it's really hard to see any further than what's in front of you and directly to the left and right of you because of the walls and...
Well, I got a natural 20,
Oh, okay.
so that's 28 total.
Alright. We can hold that perception check for you for something later.
Okay.
The looking around, you know that for the time being, you don't really have to be too vigilant or ready for anything.
2 weeks?
You'd imagine at least
Okay,
of traveling
I'd
through here
say
and traversing.
About halfway through the first week, I would use my my owl statuette and just have him kind of scout,
Okay.
just to, because I feel like he has like a much larger search radius than I do. So I
Gotcha.
would just have him search around and look for possible villages or like any snowstorms, or just to
Okay.
either keep us out of it or possibly head towards the village.
Okay. Sounds good. Still in the first day of travel. You guys continuing and going further. Like I said, you definitely know, Moldrek, that right now you're just kind of in this hike mode. Like you guys are just having to leg it out and keep going until you get to where you need to be, or get to where you can gather and glean some more information as to what it is you should be doing or where you should be heading. After traveling that hour, before it starts to get a little easier on you for your travel, you travel a good 3 or 4 more hours before you can see to the far side what looks like some sort of a caravan being pulled by 4 or so rams. And these are like mountain rams. They're like Brimshire rams. They're pretty equivalent, almost to the size of, I'd say, like a young bear. They're built very large. They are very strong, sturdy animals. Their horns are quite large as well. You've only seen a couple of them that are actually used throughout the mountains themselves, and you'd imagine this is due to them probably being very hard to tame and control. But for the most part, they seem pretty docile. They look like a very good work animal. And they're pulling the caravan behind them with no issue. And even you can see the harnesses they have are made of this very strong iron. And it seems that the, not really sure what the name of it is, but the bit that comes forward from the carriage that fastens to the harnesses themselves is very, very stiff and strong and made of metal. So there's really not a whole lot of slack in it. And the 4 rams that are there are able to hold that caravan from, gravity and everything, pushing it down the actual hill itself. You'd imagine trying to, haul whatever the hell may be behind you. More than 100 pounds is going to have a good amount of force behind you, but these rams are having no issue walking downward. You can see what appears to be one dwarf on the left side of the caravan is walking down and just kind of guiding the rams. He has one set of reins that are pulling the front
this,
two.
or they're also going the same way?
They are in front of you, and they're coming down, it appears.
And do the designs on any of the metal work or the cart or anything look reminiscent to anything we've seen in Yildgard?
Yes.
Okay.
You do remember when you first arrived in that gate that there were a couple of caravans that were set up, and this looks to be one of those caravans. You're getting a closer look now, all of you, at the caravan itself, and you can see that it is what appears to be an open top sort of carriage that has a lot of rocks and stone piled in it that are all just strapped down with a bunch of rope, and are just being pulled down for whatever reason. There is the one person you can see in the front that's just kind of guiding, and then there are 2 people just standing in the back, just walking, appear to be doing some sort of a job or task, and are making their way down.
Just kind of wave as they walk by.
Yeah, as you're kind of walking by, one of them in the front just kind of gives a bit of a nod. The 2 in the back, as you're passing, kind of give a little bit of a glare almost as to your group and understanding what or who you are and what you may be doing. And then one of them kind of, right, you're the keepers.
That's us.
Ah, well, welcome to Yildgard. Be careful in the mountains.
Yeah. You haven't by chance heard of a village called Farda here, have you?
Oh yeah, those idiots. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of small villages like that. All of those villagers within Farda here, I don't even know the name of the clan or whatever it is, but they've been far from Yildgard for a while. They like the cold. They've been up there for some time, real far north.
Okay.
Probably a week from the frigid caps that are over there. Quite the travel from here. What are you doing with Farda here?
Looking for a white dragon.
Come on, that's myth.
No bullshit.
Well, I guess then, alright. Good luck to you.
You haven't seen one, have you?
No, there's only stories to scare kids from being out late at night.
Of course.
Keeps us home. You want to venture out and stumble upon a dragon.
That's true. That's true. Well, kind of comes with the job.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
We're gonna continue ours and keep on heading down.
Sounds good.
Alright, yeah, good luck to you. You might be better off, once you get to that first pass back there, it kind of tease off a little bit. Just keep heading north.
Okay.
Every path you get to, it'll start bringing you that way.
Sounds good. Thank you for
Where
that.
the dragon might be.
No problem. They continue down the path before they disappear around a bit of a bend. Traveling along, it gets to a point where you just kind of stop and sit for a minute. Connor, you're really feeling it in your legs from walking a lot.
I'll start a fire so everybody can warm up too.
Right now, it's probably a good,
Should have did
I'd say like
the training
like
regimen.
low 60s.
Okay.
So it's not
Not
awful.
bad, yeah.
Conditioned.
It's just, yeah.
I don't know how many furry creatures would be up here, but I'm gonna keep my eyes out for like tracks or signs of them,
Okay.
just in case we don't find somewhere we can buy warm clothes.
Mhm.
Maybe I can skin something
Okay.
and make them some warm clothes.
Do a survival check.
Okay. Oh, that dice is weighted. 14.
14.
Yeah.
Down the path you're on right now, especially walking up past that carriage that just came through, it's hard to really make out any sort of tracks that are there. You'd imagine, though, that not too many animals, I almost said how Jared said when he was a kid, animals
I don't know, you could go
traverse
and throw that out
this,
there.
this
Just
pass
slap that
here through all of the traffic that comes through. Most everything that you see creature-wise is a bird that flies by. A lot of Lumeron are all in these mountains. They find themselves on cliffs and on the very large trees that sit on some of the mountains. The occasional smaller bird flies around as well, but for the most part, there's no like larger furred animals that are close or anywhere near. You would imagine.
I'll just,
But,
as we're going, just kind of keep my eyes out for any tracks or anything.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll just keep, when it forks and stuff, I'll just keep taking whichever one looks like it's going north.
Okay. So, you get to a point where you are now reaching that fork. You can see it up in the distance. The fork itself is, from what you can tell, very heavily traversed, going east to west and west to east, but not very much going towards that northern portion. There's a footprint here and there in the stone or the snow, but for the most part you can see that it doesn't seem like a lot of people go in that direction. And this actually wouldn't have even been the first pass that you took to get to Lake Rumenheim. This is actually a different, sooner path that leads north, so you're not as far east as you would be. So at this point you're just almost in a dead set for north when you get onto this path, and you can feel the direction you're heading, also based on like where the sun is starting to peer in on the side of the mountain still. It's actually coming from the west as it's beginning to set almost, based on how long you've been traveling and the time of day and everything. But at this point, you're a good probably 5 or so hours into walking through the mountain range. You can feel, well, not really Moldrek or Zarvrax for the most part, or Skip, but everybody else can really start to feel the soreness on their legs. You feel a little bit stiff. There's not really like much of a chill that's coming through because there's really no wind. It's just more of the temperature. The air is slowly getting colder the more you travel. But the thing is that it's kind of sudden. You know, you don't realize that it gets colder until that first chill hits you a little bit. And you're like, oh, you know, fuck, it kind of got a little cold. And especially with it getting later in the night, the sun is going down. You can see what appears to be a little bit of a narrowing of the path that you're currently on. Walking up, you can see that there is some sort of like wood, like posts that are being stacked up, along with what appears to be about half a dozen or so dwarven individuals, and they look like they are bracing the top part of this narrowing portion of the ravine in the mountainside. As you're making your way through, a lot of them just kind of nod and continue to work and do what they are doing. You can see a little bit of like cracks and stuff that are in the mountain itself. So they're trying to run all of these beams across and support it up a little bit.
Like really large cracks.
Yeah, they're probably like a good foot or so, like large. Yeah. Yep, yep. After you pass that, though, that little bit of a narrowing, there is probably a good hour or so more that you walk before you get to a portion where you feel you'd probably be okay with resting for the night. It's a little more open. You can tell and see that there is actually this wide berth of area. The mountains are still high in there, but there is a little bit of this mountain wall that kind of curls up a little bit to where there's a bit of shelter almost. You can see also against the wall that's right there what looks like a refuse of an old fireplace, some bedroll that looks like it's just like stuck over in the corner and has slowly just deteriorated over time from just the weather and has just been left there and never really used or forgotten for the most part. So it's up to you if you want to rest or if you want to continue walking.
How's everybody feeling?
Tired.
Looks like a good place to stop if you guys are feeling it.
Sounds like a good idea.
Set up camp
Big
then.
stretches.
Okay.
Just try to look for some wood.
Do we have anything in the bag?
Wood?
I don't know if we've ever
I feel like I collected wood at some point, but I didn't write it down.
I know that you
so-
grabbed a bunch of wooden plates and bowls at some
Oh
point.
shit, you're right. I can use those for firewood because of your shit.
Yeah, just make sure you get them out of your inventory.
Sip on some bourbon and try and warm up a little bit.
You guys huddle up around some sort of makeshift fire. There are wooden bowls and plates that are tossed into it. Moldrak lights it up.
Gets 2 forks.
My hands just ignite.
You feel you may not have prepared as much as you would have wanted to, just based on the fact that you watch Moldrak go into a bag, pull, and then drops the bowl onto the fire, and then just sits there, waits for it to crackle down a little bit more.
Everybody
Grabs
said
like 2 or 3, drops those on. They burn for quite some time. It's fire enough. Keep some of it for the time being, just because you can see that it is not nearly as cold as you think it's going to get. Even for it being like a spring type of season, you're going to go north and it's going to get pretty cold.
We really did not plan for this one.
Why are we here? Whose big idea was this? Who agreed?
Well,
Well,
I know I was there, but I wasn't there, so.
we needed to get stronger.
we just kind of
Because
skipped
we all
the
weak. We have
skipped
died
the
many
part of
times.
actually getting here. Is what happened. We're like, all right, we'll fight a white dragon,
Well,
and then we'll do this. We just kind of skipped the whole.
We
Like,
may be strong, but we're not strong enough to single-handedly fight a pirate armada or go to the Nine Hells.
But we're strong enough to fight a dragon.
Yes.
Done it before.
I guess that's fair.
true.
Throws another bowl on.
These balls are perfect.
I guess those are very good odds.
I will try to collect wood as we walk.
Have I ever heard of a dragon flying around in here before?
Yeah, there's actually a time where there were dragons in a lot more places. Yeah, you do remember.
Dragons.
You do remember a time when there were dragons more prevalent, I guess.
Would I
How
know about
long
a
ago?
dragon around here?
Um,
Parts? No. Okay.
Couple of years.
Couple years.
Haven't seen a dragon in centuries.
Couple years. Couple eons.
While you guys rest, I will be right back. I'll run to the bathroom. You're good. I got plenty of room.
So Who's ready to die before we get to the dragon? It's just gonna be more dragons.
How would we die?
There's fighting the dragon.
do you
We're all
mean?
just like,
I can survive cold weather.
that's what I said.
Oh.
I said Zarb. Oh, okay, you're right. I didn't
He
say
can-
Moldrag.
He's a fire dragon.
I can survive.
He's good.
Cold
Look at him.
Cold water, cold weather,
Cold water too.
cold water too.
Zarger seems completely unfazed
That's a white
by
dragon.
the weather at all.
It's just always spitting fire.
I mean, if there's a possibility we can convince this thing not to attack random townspeople, then that's great. But
I'd rather go that route.
I do regret not being here now because I definitely would have made a strong argument to kill some pirates. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And definitely not a
I'm
dragon.
gonna throw this. We were like dead set on killing him. and
Billy told us.
He
He was like, "You're not
driving me
gonna
home,
survive."
And he looked at me. He was like, "You know you can't win this, right?" And I was like, and then, so we decided we weren't gonna fight pirates.
Oh, okay, okay.
no, he just did that because he didn't want us to do it yet. That's all it was. He was that.
He was scared.
he was scared. He was like, shit, they're gonna fucking murder those pirates.
It's a major story arc.
Fuck, I have one.
We to get the first pirate ship, we dropped down,
was so
parachuting
cool.
out of the sky.
It was so
We
cool.
Navy sealed that shit. It was cool.
I dropped the gas on him.
Yeah.
Oh my
Choked.
golly.
Have I killed anything?
Sun
Am I-
gas.
Or has there only been like the one or two?
Oh, you probably have, but
You had at
unfortunately,
least one.
I kept forgetting to mark them.
He
think
does
you-
have at least one because he
you have
killed
at
that
least
guy
one or two.
mercilessly,
Yeah.
fucking when he was walking up.
You probably have like one or two at least.
Was that a pirate?
I
He
don't
was a
know.
pirate.
All right, he deserved it.
I think we were just coming up on deck to see what happened.
Oh, that was the guy. Yeah.
He really-
I would mark two because I'm pretty sure you got two.
All right.
I just say it's full.
Didn't he kill
Why not?
the Bahir too?
Oh, Billy,
Oh,
I rewatched
he might
the
have.
stream, and it looks like I got
I don't
a full
remember.
He's not gonna. He's not gonna rewatch it. Let's be honest. He got it.
I'm gonna need some money.
I heard I killed 20 pirates.
Ace.
And has a full axe charge, right?
You didn't ask them for money. Like you want me to learn this fight, you better give me
He's
the
not
money for
disputing
it.
it, so.
I'm trying to remember how.
We decided we're going to fight the
If
pirates.
they want you to save the world, they're gonna give you the fucking money.
Oh,
Send them a message right now.
don't have that message.
All right, well, it's not our problem. They want you to save the world. They're gonna give you the gold for it.
Jesus.
Alrighty.
It's
So
weird that everybody just doesn't give us gold. It's crazy.
you guys huddled up.
That one guy gave us like 5 keys.
One guy. We saved so many people.
He's like, you helped me, and now I'm rich, so here you go.
He was already rich.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I thought he
He saved his daughter.
How much is it?
1200.
1,000. Oh, all right. I'm getting reimbursed by the arcane
I
sector.
think the fucking.
I'm ready to build too.
I think we should do the chest idea with the fucking arcane sect.
Yeah,
Throw that bitch in the middle of their room.
yeah.
Alrighty.
Start emptying coin into this one. Turn out your pockets.
Get the boy at the gates to just pocket a little bit every time someone pays. Start getting with us.
Nice.
So, huddled around the fire now. The fire itself isn't very like large or anything. It's not like an immense fire, but you know you can vamp it up like that if you want.
No, it'll just
Um,
make the wood burn
but
fast. Don't have
For the time being, it is comfort enough. I know that a few of you have like bedrolls and such that are in your inventory. It's like a very basic thing that you just kind of roll with. So for the most part, you're able to lay down on the comfort or as comfortable as possible. The floor itself is very hard from the stone. There's really nothing in between you and the stone besides a little thin piece of burlap with some shit stuffed in it that is your bedroll. But you guys are able to fall asleep without issues.
Quick question.
Yes.
Before we fall asleep, is there any sort of vegetation around?
It's very, very sparse. There's like an occasional like wild flower. There's not really like grass growing, and the mountain pass that you're walking in, there's not like trees or anything that are growing or like bushes. It's just like a random flower, like here and there, or small bit of like a weed that is like growing out of the mountain itself.
Could I have preemptively warmed up the stone that we were going to lay on with fire
Sure.
before we like set all our shit down?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. I'll just.
Or you just make everybody get up and then.
Yeah,
warm
I
it
could do
in.
that too.
Yeah.
Just so they don't have to sleep on like freezing cold stone.
Yeah.
How nice.
While we were sitting around the campfire, I just wanted to turn to Moldrak, like, hey, could I borrow some gold or some things worth some sort of monetary value?
Yeah, we can have some gold. We don't really have any tradables at the moment.
I need 1,200.
I like how we got him to say yes before I told him how much. Moldrak goes into the bag of holding and starts taking out handfuls of loose gold along with pouches of gold until he gets to be what is an equivalent to 1,200 gold pieces.
Right. I'm going to take this over, as this was before he wanted to heat up the rock, over to the rock that we were going to lay on.
Okay.
And then take out my my book and start attempting to learn astral displacement.
Alrighty. The spell itself has similarities to other astral-like spells that you've seen, but this one is...
I feel like this one, to learn it, I would have to do more of like a meditation type thing.
Yes, you're having to also... I don't know if you have any books or anything on the Astral Sea. I don't know what's in your repertoire of books in like the bookcase.
I mean, the only thing I've would be like of reading of the different planes and then the different things like that.
Right. Yeah. You do have
Nothing specifically
yeah,
on
you
the
do have
Astral Sea.
a small bit of knowledge on the Astral Sea, along with things outside of what you learned growing up in regards to the small bit of knowledge. You know of it. You know like where it pretty much presides. You've also heard stories like like the sky itself is the Astral Sea, and it's kind of a reflection of it. So it's almost like the equivalent of like a space that you can reach through teleportation type of magic. But for you learning this spell, as you were saying, it's a big meditative process. You're not really trying to... I mean, you are trying to learn a spell, but you're also trying to project your being into a completely different place. So you find yourself thinking back on other spells, even like teleportation type spells, working with the runes that are associated with that in regards to arcane magic. It takes some time and some doing, but you're able to get a little bit of progress towards it. If you want to make your check, please go for it.
$24.
24. Okay, so you're good for the first week, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a DC 16.
Okay. Everybody else kind of in their own little corners or spots in this little heated bit of rock that Moldrak warmed up for everybody and a bit of campfire. Connor, you find yourself over towards the side or right up against the wall itself, just out of everybody's way, and there's a little bit of chatter at the fire here and there, but you're trying to hone it out as best you can.
I also think focusing on this will help forget about the cold.
It's still cold, but it's a good way to practice. Alrighty. Anything anybody wants to do before they go to sleep? No?
How'd you do?
I get these in the moon, cold resistant. I roll for it.
Okay.
probably sit up for a while and just keep watch,
Alrighty.
and eventually just pass out.
Oh, great. Now it's raining.
I thought you turned on like a fan or something.
Oh shit!
It's raining.
Oh, you guys are dead.
This is
You're
death.
getting hypothermic.
This is death.
Okay, let's see if we can do this. And it not be super dark.
Ooh.
It's definitely super dark.
Pretty dark. Yeah.
Not as dark, but you definitely still can't see anything.
But wait, there's more.
Oh shit! You right. I'm gonna do the middle one.
Yeah. Wait, why is this off? Has
Oh.
it been off?
It's been off the entire
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
Is it plugged in?
Unplug it from behind you and plug it back in. Or it's at the bottom.
Just unpluggable.
The bottom one.
Yeah. Huh. That's weird.
Is it burnt out? Bear with us, people.
Think that's the right side? It is.
I'm going into the chat to flame us.
What's that one?
No, I did the wrong side.
That kind of makes it bright enough, but
Shine a light on my head and it'll light up.
damn, reflection.
Oh.
I won't be able to see your face.
My eye.
My eye, my leg.
There you go.
That one would work too. Well, actually, I
Well-
think the other side was better.
Yeah.
This one here.
I needed to
was,
see Zarbrax.
Ooh. Spotlight.
Oh,
Yeah, that would be a good
So
one
this
for the
one?
middle one.
Okay.
Yeah, this one seemed to light everybody up.
Oh, perfect.
Holy shit, I'm blind. I was not prepared.
Can you reach up and tilt it down a little?
More?
Did that make it worse?
Move
hold
your
on.
hand. No, that's darker. Certainly.
it down
It's
more?
more like a spotlight on Jerry at that
and you
point.
don't just like
Hey.
make that one bright and just point it directly down.
I had an idea.
Ooh,
Yeah. Grab that one above you and just put it straight down on
Connor
your head.
had an idea.
Might have to stand a little.
It's tall as fuck.
Okay, that works.
That's as far down as I can pull it without any sort of tension on it.
Yeah.
I have an idea.
I have an idea.
So that one is 5.
You didn't label them?
I did label them in my mind.
Interesting.
Oh,
Oh, it started to light up.
This thing's like okay.
Temperamental. Oh, there's a spotlight on
Shop.
It ends up being on
Hazard
shop with that one.
Lit up.
Stop blinding the people at home.
Bear with us. We're gonna leave that one.
Ooh.
Bleh.
You can see the stream through my character sheet now.
Nice.
Wait, actually it looks so... It's like perfect. Shit.
Okay, so this side of the table, I apologize for your eyeballs possibly.
Oh,
Oh.
look, he's getting all of his stats there. He ruined it.
Pretty close.
Like a
Just
backlight.
the light
Oh,
on his
he's
face.
just black. Alright, we're just gonna have to do this and
That's actually
maybe
the
if you-
opposite
you have to
of
sit all the way
that.
Maybe
back
if you
against
made
the wall.
both of these ones.
yeah, that's where I'm headed.
Okay.
Ow.
Oh, he's kind of. You can kind of see him now. It's really creepy though.
You're right, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out. I think this one's like not a candlelight like it's supposed to be.
God, these lights are such a cool idea.
That doesn't
but
do
they
anything.
Suck.
Yeah.
Now you have to buy 6 more lights and install them into the table pointed up at us.
Yeah.
A blind
Each spotlight.
cousin in.
Holy shit, the flow is insane.
You want some of this, Shop?
Damn.
That's toxic.
For a second, I was
Okay.
like,
I'll
what?
trade you some of the top hair for the beard hair, I swear.
Oh shit.
we're just gonna
Good
go
deal.
for it. Is it good enough
I'll
where you
give you
can
some of
see
mine
him
too
somewhat?
if we can balance it out.
Alrighty.
No deal.
Damn.
If you could mute everybody but me and Czar.
Hang on, that's gonna be confusing.
So,
Definitely mutant Jared. I always remember his.
so leave Ashley's and mine unmuted.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Talk shit.
Because Ashley.
Yeah.
that is-
Don't confuse me, Billy.
Okay,
I know
got
that.
it.
Stay over there. He's the sound guy. You go over there. You stay over there. Yeah.
Okay, are we good? Mine should be gone. Use your mic.
Hello?
Try again.
You're good.
Okay. Just tabs.
Sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
Love.
Okay. Zevrax, you are jolted awake. You can feel your heart racing. A boom of thunder rumbles out, and you're surrounded by darkness. You feel yourself running in search of someone or something. Frantically making your way through the darkness, a sudden wave of water comes into vision with a bright blue crackle of light. The wave itself, 10 feet or so tall, comes over you and crashes onto you. You feel the water, but not nearly as much as you were expecting. You throw your arm up, kind of cover your eyes, bracing for the wave as it swallows you and disperses. You look around to see a familiar stone circular platform floating at sea with large stone steps ascending to a temple. The thunder rumbles and lightning crackles as a set of bluish-white eyes appear in the sky above the temple itself in the distance. You traverse up the steps and make your way to the entryway, where you see a hallway that leads inward and down a slight grade. And before you, you see a lightning blue crackling form of Uldar Stormcaller. Stepping into the temple, the doors behind you slowly close, and as they close, there's another thundering kind of rumble that takes over the entire temple itself. You can feel the interior shake a bit, and as opposed to scaring you, it feels like it invigorates you with strength. The thunder, the force of it, and the strength behind it. Uldar, at this point, you can see his bluish kind of lightning form that's crackling in front of you, walking in your direction. Fizzles out from the bluish lightning form to his actual visage and appearance. The storm grows stronger with you every day. You know of Keranos and his presence. You can feel the power crackle and course through your body. You've progressed quickly in your teachings, and although you have stumbled along the way, you are stronger. Not just your body, your mind has been strengthened, but you must fortify your spirit. Keranos is not a god who feeds off of worship and requires it, but his gifts are something that must be earned. When you need most, his strength will be there. But you must know your bond is strong, and that he will be there. What reassurance do you have? Where is your faith? Your connection? How do you worship him in your own way? Think long and hard on these things, for a time will come when you will need his strength. Another loud crackle of thunder resonates throughout the temple. A flash of lightning and you jolt awake once more. Your hands slightly crackle with thunder and it fizzles away. You look around to see your friends sleeping around you. You expected to wake up with your heart racing and you breathing heavily, but you're calm. And you can feel that adrenaline that's normally there and just fires you up in something you feel like you can't control over the time of your training and everything that's been going on. It's not there. It's slowed down, your heart's beating fine, you're not breathing heavy. The thunder that was there on your fist, instead of it just booming outwards in this just uncontrollable fashion, it just slightly crackles away. You feel it kind of go, shake your hand a little bit, take a breath, rest your head, and fall asleep. Everybody wakes up in the morning. It is not storming. Success.
Same.
I thought you guys were going hypothermic. Alright, oh, I got unmuted. Don't worry about whose mic I left muted.
Hey, good morning. Woo!
He's already so loud.
At this point, you are now up to do as you wish. If there's anything you want to do beforehand, you are more than welcome to. The day before you is a little warmer than yesterday. The sun seems like it is beginning to...
I just mute everyone again.
The sun itself is at a point in the sky where you can kind of feel the warmth of it, as opposed to before where it was just coming in from the west and hitting the wall. The way that the mountainside is at this point where you are, you can actually see a bit of the sun in the distance, and it's coming through enough to the point where you can, feel that warmth. And that sunlight is kind of what wakes most of you up, is the sun kind of hitting at your eyes. The fire that was in front of you is dead, but you're warm enough to where it's not really, bothering you too much with the cold and everything. So at this point, you can start traveling more north or doing as you wish.
Keep traveling north.
All right.
To the dragon.
Does it, in the way we're going, do the mountains stay the same height? Do they look like they get lower?
They look like they're getting taller,
Okay.
and it also looks like they are beginning to widen almost.
Like the path or the mountain?
The mountains.
Okay.
Yeah, like the mountains are getting wider and taller.
Okay. I'm also gonna, as we're walking along the path, just keep my eye out for any wood that might have either tumbled down the mountain, been left behind, any small trees that I can yank up out of the ground,
Okay.
just to put in the bag for wood.
Make a survival check.
Okay.
While he's doing that, Billy, I did roll for my my daily origin and phase of the moon, and that gives me cold resistance.
Okay.
Nice.
He's cheating.
Not it.
Okay.
It's kind of weird because I also got phase of the moon.
Whoa! What's going on over there?
Nice.
Multi-classing.
Into a specific special
Yeah.
Huh.
Just a fucking thing that you have to be born with. Really?
I was born with it too. You weren't alive 800 years ago.
At this point, traveling, I'd say you probably travel for a good 3 hours or so. The travel is, you can definitely tell, going to get a lot more difficult. Along that 3 or so hours, you find 3 or 4 sticks. There's really not a whole lot within here.
If there are any trees growing further up, I'm willing to climb to go and.
Okay, if you see one?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. You don't. But if you do, I'll let you know.
Trees
Okay.
usually have.
Um,
Or mountains usually have trees. and
You
stuff.
can see that.
They're just barren all the
he
time.
said that like a child whose boat's usually trees on.
You get to
Oh my God.
this 3 hour mark of walking in here. And as I said, looking in the distance, you can tell that the path ahead of you is a long one and more than likely treacherous one. You can kind of see what looks like some bit of a fog that is sitting over the mountains themselves, but you would imagine is probably snow. It doesn't seem unnatural in any sort of a way, but you can see it where you are now, kind of cresting up this path, almost up on a little bit of a hill to where you're not looking down, but you're high enough up above the path that you're about to start traveling to where you can see into the far distance, because the mountains themselves are so large, where you can see that large bit of what almost looks like a fog cloud. But you would imagine, just based on the elevation of the mountain and this kind of time of year, that there's definitely some form of snow that is occurring off in the distance where you're looking, and looks pretty promising for some form of a heading to go in that direction.
Okay.
Cresting downward to actually then begin to go upward, you get to probably, we could jump ahead here a little bit just to help you guys out for the sake of traveling, but it takes you a good 4 days just to get to the portion of the mountains where you start to feel the cold. You start to feel the wind there's like very, very light snow flurries that are beginning to descend down on you. And it's actually a little bit to a point now, whereas before, when you were starting to get into this mountain, you were thinking it's probably going to take a good 2 weeks to get wherever we need to be. You're probably only 5 days in at this point and have made a pretty good amount of progress, especially because of the mountains themselves being pretty kind to you for the most part of not having landslides. The weather has been permitting. Nothing has really bothered you in the way of creatures or anything that roams around up here. You haven't run into any people along the 5 days of your travel, but if you were looking at the ground, you would see that there is some sort of foot traffic that does occasionally come through here, but it's very, very sparse. And along those 5 days, I'd say you probably get a good amount of wood assembled.
Okay.
Nice.
Nothing too crazy, probably enough for 2 or 3 nights of a good fire.
Okay.
So that'll keep you warm.
I'd say at this point, I'd probably, as it starts to get a little bit worse, but it's not quite a completely white out blizzard yet, I'm gonna go ahead and take my owl statue, toss him down, say Moldrak Jr.
Okay.
Have him just kind of scout nearby areas looking for villages. I mean, if he sees a white dragon, hey, come back and warn me. But I'm just gonna have him look around.
Okay. You don't see through the eyes of it, correct?
No. He
It
just reports
back to you.
We can communicate
Telepathically.
Right.
so he can say whatever he sees wherever.
I was just making sure.
Yep, yep.
Sounds good.
But
This
yeah,
is a
I
white
don't
dragon.
actually see it.
Make a perception check for Light Owl for me.
Don't have giant owl stats on me, but I will look them up really quick.
I've currently been eaten by a white dragon.
Are you being
Father,
digested?
please help.
Yes, I'm being digested.
You can make your 4 rolls there.
17,
Success.
Good thing I
Same
am
thing.
magical.
Success.
13,
Fail.
17.
Success.
It's good for the week.
18.
18?
He has advantage on them. Let me go again. Keen hearing and sight. So. Okay. 19.
19. Okay. As you are beginning to go forward, the only thing that the owl really reports back to you is that there's heavy snow.
Okay.
It's hard to see through. The vision from where he is pretty obscured. In the distance, there's probably a good 10 or so miles that are covered by this bit of snow that are just kind of lightly falling down. But the snow itself, even though it's lightly falling, it's thick snow. It's not just little bits of flurries where this isn't at. It's almost like sleet or hail in a way. Just very, very large snowflakes. As opposed to where you are right now, where there's just kind of this very, very light trickle of snow falling down. The weather itself is probably a good 40 degrees at most. It's dropped a good 20 in the 5 days that you've traveled. And at this point, those of you that are not very kind with the cold are having to bundle up quite a bit.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, bundle up.
I'm gonna kind
Good
of.
one.
At least for those people, I'll kind of slow down the pace a bit, and I'll use produce flame, and I'll just kind of hold it in my hand, so that they can kind of huddle around it as we walk.
Okay.
I mean, it probably won't provide much help from the cold. And the owl, he lasts for 8 hours. So after he kind of does his initial scout and doesn't really see any villages or anything, I'm just gonna have him kind of stay hovering ahead of us, just to kind of keep an eye on what's ahead and warn us if there's anything dangerous.
Okay.
But he should last the rest of the walking, I believe.
Yeah. So about halfway into the owl's duration and walking, there really isn't much that he reports back, and it's really just because of the dense bit of snow there is, and the times that he actually does get a bit ahead of you, go into the snow a little bit more. Hasn't really got to the real thick of it, but is far enough ahead of you to the point where you're probably a good walk to get to even where he's at. there's really nothing that the owl reports back to you that is really of note. Let you know that there is like a broken down tree up on top of the mountain itself, but other than that, nothing really of note.
Can you knock it down?
No. That's all you hear.
Try.
Go ahead and make a strength check for the owl.
Giant owl strength. 10.
Just a bit of silence, a bit of time passes. Still no.
I don't say it mentally, I'm just like disappointing. Alright. Keep an eye on things. I'm gonna climb and get that tree when I get there.
Alright. So, traveling now. At this point, you've traveled the entire 5 days from when you first got in, and are now a good 6 hours into that the 5th or 6th day. At this point, like looking at the terrain and stuff that you're getting closer to, you can tell that there is ice that is actually on the mountain itself, but it's very, very thin ice. The ice itself isn't extremely thick to the point where you couldn't like break it. It's not like almost cement-like. It still has a little bit of water that's slowly running off of it because it's just not solidifying, because the cold doesn't really seem like it stays super cold around this area. It seems like it fluctuates enough to where the ice itself doesn't really stay for too long. But with this little bit of snow that is coming down, the weather's cold enough, you know, that it would cause some form of ice here and there from the snow kind of hitting the top and then slightly melting, dripping down the sides. You've traveled on this day for probably a good 4 hours. And traveling in these 4 hours, that was probably when you were told about the branch or whatever it is, or the tree itself. That's a good hour further, and once you get to that point, you guys watch Moldrak kind of climb up the side of the mountain, kind of let you know he'll be right back. Gets up, and once he gets up there, you can see that the tree itself is already kind of gnarled and facing towards the ravine itself. You're not really sure how well it is in like the ground that's there, but the ground itself doesn't seem like it's really had much soil or life to it for a very long time, and the tree itself is like almost gray to the point where the wood seems like it's petrified. You know it would burn pretty good. It's just a matter of actually getting it down. I don't know if you want to cut it. What do you want to do with it?
I don't really have a way to cut it.
You're probably like a good 10 or so feet up on the mountain's edge.
Oh, that's not that far. I'm just gonna whack it with my hammer and see if it falls over.
Okay, yeah, you hit it like as hard as you can.
Watch out!
Once you kind of smack and hit it, there's like a good 2 or 3 branches that crackle and break and kind of bounce off and then hit the ravine below. You watch it kind of just a couple of the branches, probably a good 2 or 3 about this long.
I feel like it gave way at all when I hit it.
No, not really. No.
I'm gonna try and yank it out of the ground.
Make a strength check.
Oh my god. Straight strength?
Yeah.
25.
Yeah. You grab it as best you can, and then you realize that just digging your nails into it is probably better than trying to just bear hug and pull it. So you have one hand that's actually dug your nails in, and the other you're trying to grab like underneath where there's some form of a root going into the ground, a little bit of space, and you give a good like tug and a pull, and then after the second or third, it gives a little like, and then you can feel it where it's probably got a good amount of roots underneath it still, but all of them seem flimsy enough to where you just yank and pull a couple more times, take the hammer handle and just like bury it underneath and dig at it for a minute. Probably takes you a good 3 or 4 minutes, but you're able to completely like take the tree out, and then it gets to a point where it just starts to fall into the ravine itself. Look up and there's like this big shadow that causes you guys to jump back for a moment while the tree crashes down into the below area.
Just kind of slide down. So Rex, can you cut that up?
I get to chop it.
All right.
Probably would have been
And-
easier if I just asked you to cut it down, but
With pleasure, he starts to just whack, 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 cut it up into several pieces. You've pretty much tripled the wood supply that you had.
We should start burning wood just to do it.
You're like, why aren't you just like constantly carrying a piece of burning wood? Gotta get rid of it somehow.
Got too much wood now.
So much wood, we open up a lumber mill.
Genius.
In the red.
The keepers keep you warm.
We're back where we started. We're the bad guys.
And we're the bad guys again.
We should get into human tracking too while we're at it.
Good idea. Good idea.
That's the money maker.
Okay, so you guys are now at a point where it is dark. Not so dark to the point where you can't see anything, but dark enough to the point where you're kind of having to squint and look past. Some of you have torches and are holding them forward. The time of year, like I said, it's like a very, very early spring season.
Best time to come.
The weather is still cool. Normally, it can be like in the low 50s down in, like the grassy plain area of Avelia. But up here, it can probably get like below zero once you start to get high enough up. And right now, you'd imagine it's probably about 20 degrees. You're cold, but I'd say Czar, Neris, and Moldrak, along with Connor now, with his phase of the moon and such, are
20
your,
degrees. Andrew pulls out the
I
shorts
have
and
a-
slides.
I have a question.
yes.
Could I? So I can summon up to 8 elementals of challenge rating 1/4 or lower. Can I give them each like their own fire elemental that just kind of like walks in front of them, keeping them warm?
I'd say it'd probably give them light more than it would warmth, but it
Could
would
I
definitely
use
be.
stronger elementals? Because I can
It
make
would-
4 of those.
Yeah, so it would be. I'd say it'd be enough, like warmth and light, in order to keep them like pretty
Okay.
warm.
I mean, it lasts for an hour, so I really can only use it like twice. But
Do they go away after an hour, or do they just like start killing us?
you'll have to find out.
Oh, cool. Excited.
Is it something you want to do,
You should keep yourself
or do you
warm
want to
with
use
the
it
fire.
like when it seems like they're like super cold?
I'm gonna wait until it's clearly like starting to get into like the coldest parts of the night.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So at this point, when you guys are walking, I need everybody to make a Constitution saving throw. Those of you that have resistances to it, you can do that with advantage. Use Everex. You can do it with advantage as well. Skip would have done it too, but you guys are just hardy individuals.
Oh,
I've dropped this dice twice. So I just take the fucking roll.
Yes.
oh,
oh, that's 8.
No.
No? Yes? No? Billy?
I'm not the DM.
Am I taking this roll or not? I've dropped it twice.
Sure.
sure is rolling.
I'm
That is a round dice.
He's
10.
cheating.
10.
It's got round dice. They roll forever.
Con save Moldrak.
18.
20.
8.
60.
50.
Okay. Everybody's good. Neris, however, the first person to speak up and say the cold doesn't bother her is
Interesting.
at this point a little bundled up. You can see her going towards like her elbows and trying to give herself some warmth by like rubbing the clothing together here and there. She has like some form of a hood that she can throw up and over, and you can see that she's almost like Kenny style, like holding it to where like all she has is her eyes, and is just like moving forward. The wind is pushing down into here. The wind itself is coming from the north and pushing downward, and you can feel that where it's coming from is pretty intense, and it's pushing the snow in your face as well, and your nerves can like feel it on your skin. It almost feels like it's just like that really, really cold,
My eyebrows are
sharp
frozen.
kind of feeling. You have snow on your eyebrows because it's the only part of like hair that's really out. The bits of your gray hair that are sticking out, you can't really tell if it's your gray hair or if there's snow and ice mixed in there. It's just kind of sitting there, but she's kind of bundled up.
Great, I'm basically frozen.
Yeah. You do take 5 points of cold damage.
Cool.
We have resistance to
Weak.
cold damage, so is it half?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So you would take 2.
2 damage.
Damn.
Okay. continuing forward.
Because if you're too skinny.
Not enough
Could,
meat on the bones.
You could just get on Wraith and just fly up above the clouds in the sun.
Yeah, but is flying around on a white dragon really the best idea?
Probably
We're the
not,
only
eh?
ones looking for
They're
a white
very
dragon.
territorial. I mean, Moldrick doesn't know that, but I do.
Maybe it's a
The other white
good
dragon's
thing.
like,
Get me?
oh, Dad.
What's going on?
Any dragon who dis.
Like, yo, this is my white dragon territory. Get out of here.
There can't be two white dragons.
Turn around.
Alright, so all but Neris are dealing with the cold pretty well. It's just kind of a nuisance to you right now more than anything, but you're sure that you'll kind of get used to it or get over it. But
Probably starting to get a little drunk because I just keep drinking to stay warm.
Alcohol constricts.
sure thing, man. You are in a probably
Not
the
actually warmer. You just feel
like
warmer.
like standing in the mountain range
matters to me.
itself. You guys have traveled and been through them. The map that is represented there is not like a like I said before several times, it's not an exact representation of Zaxria. That northern part has a little bit more of a bump to it on that northern side, to where the mountain range goes further into that north part. But this is definitely the furthest north you have ever been within the mountain range. The Rockwing Peninsula actually doesn't go off on like a bit of a corner. It's like straight right of the landmass itself, and then there's like a bit of land that curls up and over where the mountains start to get. You'd imagine there's still a good 10 or 15 miles past where you're actually heading to, but you're still a good distance north to where you're not like way further north than you've ever been, which is making you a little unsettled as to how cold it is and how the atmosphere and environment is itself, because it's not really this drastic of a change between the 2 or 3 miles back that you pretty sure is pretty equal to the furthest north you've been before this. But being where you are now, the weather is cold. The 20 degrees or so that is the temperature around you. The snow coming down, the wind that is coming directly in your face from the north. You can see that there is over to the back left, every now and then when there's like a bit of break in the snow, a good amount of mountain that's sitting off in the distance. You can only really make it out because it seems that there's a bit of mountain that goes down and then begins to come back up, and that is the mountains that you're seeing. It's like near the top side of those mountains in the far distance. But the snow itself starts to come down heavier to the point where that vision pretty much disappears, and your vision is not heavily obscured, but it's obscured enough to where things in the distance are really hard to make out. The wind howls and it pushes down into the mountain range, starting to kick up loose snow and making it hard to hear at times. At this point, you have ventured far enough north to be on the brink of unfamiliar territory. The mountains themselves break off and split into over 20 different locations of the mountains that give way to many different areas, and you'd imagine a few probably small dwarven villages and societies that are tucked away inside of here, or other sorts of creatures that live within these mountains. You don't see many creatures walking around or moving around or in the distance or hear anything, especially with the heavy wind that's coming across your ears. One stretch of path that would lead you probably directly towards Lake Rumenheim if you were to keep taking it and head east. You can continue on that path, and you know that it would extend that way. But going where you are, you're kind of expanding your exploration on the mountains themselves. This part is somewhere that you have not been before, and you'd imagine there's good reason for it. It kind of sucks up here. There's really no other reason why you would ever want to be here. For you, Moldrick, though, it's actually pretty normal, but it kind of gives you you get a little bit of a chill here and there, and it's mainly because it's been a really long time since you've actually been home. So the cold, although it is welcoming and a bit nostalgic, still a little irritating. You're not like it's not that you hate it. It's just like, oh, yeah, I remember this. But at this point, you have traveled for, I'd say, for this day, close to 8 hours. You get to a point where you are still cresting upward in the mountains, and it's getting kind of annoying. You feel like you've just been walking and you're unsure of if all of this walking is even going to get you anywhere besides frozen and stuck out here. But you're now traveling to the point where, like I said, the cold gets to some of you. Snow is still falling. It's beginning to stick. You can see it sticking on the ground as opposed to where the wind was kicking it up before. It's probably about a good 4 inches at this point, and you can see that it's probably not letting up at any time.
Okay.
The sky darkens as night progresses, and you are up a path where it seems it keeps climbing for some time.
Okay.
You can feel your calves are sore. The wind blisters in your face the higher you get. You can feel your bones starting to ache a little bit, and you would imagine you are probably getting to a point where you can continue on or rest.
I'm gonna look for some sort of alcove to keep us out of the wind.
Okay, make a perception check with disadvantage.
Alright. Does it balance out because I normally have advantage?
Correct.
Alright. It's still a 10.
10? Okay. You don't find any sort of like an alcove, but what you do find is what looks to be, so where the wind is coming directly from the north, the path that you're walking on, you only see it when you're walking forward till you're kind of over to the left, where it looks like the wall itself comes towards you and then breaks off this way to where there's a little bit of shelter from the wind. The wind is still kind of finding its way down that way, but there's not snow being kicked up in there. The wind isn't super heavy there, and it's a good enough spot to where you guys can sit down and probably make a fire, and the fire would stay. But you're going to be pretty huddled up in that spot, so you can either decide to stay there or kind of just trying to keep push forward.
I do want to point it out. I think this is the best spot that we're going to find.
It's getting pretty dark.
I'm
outside.
frozen.
Whatever you think.
Alright.
You take the lead.
I'll huddle up in there, we'll get the fire going. I'm going to use mold earth to kind of extend that wall that's kind of like blocking the snow a little bit where it breaks off outward. To not only give us more room, but hopefully more of a break from the wind.
Definitely gives you more of a break from the wind, and yeah, it does exactly what you want to. Good thinking. It definitely comes out enough to where you have a bit of landmass in front of you that you can kind of duck and hide behind. There's a little bit of, it's not as high as the actual mountain side itself, but it's probably like a good 6 feet or so where you can reach your hands up and pull the rock out.
I'm going to try to mimic the tribe and do like some cool motions with it.
Okay.
I don't know how well
Make
it's
a
gonna.
performance check.
Alright. well, I have a -1 in performance. 7?
7? Okay.
Yeah.
You watch Moldrak do some almost sort of improvised dancing, it looks like, in front of you. And you watch as he's doing it, kind of like shakes his arms a little bit and then like pulls his hands over and just holds a pose for a moment. And then the rock like slowly is like coming out and stops, and then he does it again, and then the rock comes out more and more, and he just continues to do it over and over before he makes a wall. And then turns around with a little bit of a smirk on his face like he feels good. Sits down, throws the firewood down, and you guys start a fire up. You can still see like the path that is going north. There is what appears to be a little bit of an opening, but in that opening it seems like the snowfall and the wind is a lot heavier because it's not being blocked by some sort of like mountain walls. It's just in this little bit of open area, so it's just kind of swirling around. The wind has nothing blocking it. So where you are right now, you can still see, like if you're a little bit past the wall, if the wall's a good feet in front of you, you can look past and still see the direction you're heading towards, and you can see a good distance behind you. And you can see a good distance behind you much better than you can going where you're headed, just because of the amount of snow that's coming down. And it seems like the snow is really not letting up too much. The wind as well doesn't seem like it's stopping either. So, resting for the night. Is anybody want to take watch or anything?
I'll take the first watch, and I will. I'll take out like a small pile of wood for anybody who takes like the second or third watches, just so that they have stuff to keep the fire going.
Okay.
Probably
While
like
we're
skip to the
sitting
second
on
one.
the fire and go sit close in there.
Oh yeah, Skip
Gotcha.
can keep watch. Yeah.
I will take the second watch.
Who said they had the first?
Is there a third watch now? Because I can take the third one.
I don't think we
I'm
need.
gonna die.
Hypothermia. You need to stay
Hey
on
man,
top
I
of
can,
the
I can,
fire.
I can try.
Okay, Modrag, make a perception check for me.
Am I at disadvantage still?
Yes.
28, natural 20.
Oh,
Jesus.
no shit.
She's
the Nice. future.
All right.
Every time.
Okay.
Future
Uh,
sight.
so Moldrak, you just kind of sit up. You will get the fire started. Do you want like a bigger fire, smaller? Where your head is?
Enough to probably like medium size.
Okay.
Enough to keep everyone hopefully comfortably warm and but not so big that the wind's blowing it everywhere.
Okay, got it. Ander, you just bundle up close to the fire in a bedroll, cover your face. You can feel the warmth of it. The fire itself isn't getting wind, so it's not like moving around. The smoke itself is going up, and then you watch the wind kind of taking it and pushing it away. You can hear the wind howling, but you're close to the fire and just the ambient warmth. You're just kind of like snuggled up. Connor, you do the same.
That's what it is.
You do the same and just kind of bundle up. Skip, you can see, is actually having some sort of effect from the cold. Like he just seems bothered. Like he just seems irritable. Like he's uncomfortable.
He's
Like he's just
resting.
he's not having a good time with it. You can watch like he takes some form of like his cape and like rubs it on the cold metal. Gets his hands over towards the heat and like places his hands in the fire
Oh,
and
start
kind of moves
melting.
them around a little bit and then gets it over and starts like rubbing his hand up and around it. It's not hot enough to the point where it starts to give his metal any sort of heat, but it's warm enough to get rid of that layer of ice almost that he has on him. Gets rid of it.
He's just frozen walking around.
He sits down and then
My
puts his
joints
head
are frozen.
against the rock wall, where you watch his eyes go from that white color to the shut down resting point. Zarvrex, you fall asleep almost immediately next to the fire, getting ready to take the second watch. Azrael, you walk over, sit next to Neris. The two of you bundled up essentially by the fire. It is freezing. The two of you feeling the cold quite a bit. You can see Neris has like chunks of her hair are like ice just from it being on the outside and like blowing through her eyebrows. You can see that she's actually close to the fire and is like wiping the snow off as it
Melting
melts
my
from
eyebrows.
ice.
It's okay, it's fine.
Sits there. Azrael gets close. He's got a bottle of what seems to be some form of a dark brandy or liquor and is like sipping on it.
No, thank you.
How do I keep you warm? Keep me kind of warm.
This is fire. It should be fine. Should be fine. I'll be fine.
You got first watch. Don't go sleep.
I got a natural 20. I can sleep and keep watch.
You hanging in there?
Yeah. How about yourself?
It's been nippy.
Why are we doing this?
It's a little discouraging because I thought you were supposed to be the cold expert and you look like you're frozen.
Well, it's been a while. I can't say I'm used to the cold anymore.
Yeah, I've never
Or at
been
least
used
I
to it.
thought I was.
Like take off my jacket and like wrap her up in it.
No. You,
No,
you gotta.
you're good.
No,
Your eyebrows are literally.
Yes.
I'll be all right for the night.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Is he actually going to be all right for the night, or is he going to die?
He seems like it.
Okay.
He's drunk enough.
Yeah,
Fair
the warmth that comes from the jacket, you almost really don't care if he's good because you feel warm right now. You're like, okay, this is actually nice. Wraith at this point, totally fine.
Oh, yeah, of
He's
course.
actually like out, like walking around, like looking. Seems like he, in his small form, is just like flying around. Doesn't really like disappear, but goes away for a moment before like coming back, and seems like he's enjoying himself just being up here and like
He's
flying
excited.
around. Yeah.
Doing dragon things.
All right. Take a couple more sips of the brandy before falling asleep. The bottle itself, you're just kind of like cuddling with it as you doze off.
Warm.
With Azrael's jacket, you're much warmer and you fall asleep actually pretty quickly with the warmth of the fire as well.
Nice.
As you are there, taking watch, looking and listening around, you hear what you definitely immediately recognize to be growls.
Nope.
They sound very close.
Don't make
Footsteps heavy.
They're to the point where it sounds like they have something. You're putting your head up, looking around. You hear what sounds like probably 4 at least of these heavy kind of footsteps that are like trotting around.
Okay.
The growling becomes more like intermittent as opposed to this very, very quick
Peek my head around
burst
the
of it.
wall.
You don't see anything over there. And what it sounded like is what it came from above you.
Okay.
You could hear it like on the tops of the mountains, the growling that was coming through.
It's a
Stop
dragon.
for a moment, and it's your
Is it cat-like?
no,
No.
like dog-like.
Okay.
Yes, you definitely recognize it to probably be some sort of a wolf.
Just gonna kind of sit and listen for now. Put some more wood on the fire. They're not messing with us. I'm not gonna mess with them.
All right. The growling kind of continues for a while, but then you hear it die down a bit. The footsteps fade, or footfalls of whatever it is fade in the distance. Sitting for a little while, you continue to look around. It seems quiet enough. You start to feel your eyes getting heavy.
I'll go over and kind of tap Zarbrax. I need you to. I'm gonna fall asleep. I need you to get up and watch.
Okay.
I have some warm rations.
Sweet.
And some wood. I'm going to bed.
He pretty much lays right where you were laying. like he's like
Genius.
he's
It's
like
so warm.
waking you up while like laying where you were. Go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Right after I wake up, I'm gonna notice that like my face is just cold, so I'm gonna take the headband off and I'm gonna turn it into like a shawl type thing and kind of just like wrap it around my head so like only my eyes are
Why
really
not give that
exposed.
to him?
And turn it into a hooded cloak.
3.
8.
8. You spend the time fucking around with a hat, turning it into a bunch of random different things.
What is the warmest? He's
not-
testing.
You're not really paying attention to much else, but you eventually get it to the little shawl type thing and are like sitting there thinking it's comfy. You just trying to feel it a little bit. Like, look, you don't really have a mirror, but you're like, whatever, it's good enough. You're just kind of looking around, not really paying attention to much.
Like, wait. 1, 2,
Toss a
3,
log on the
4,
fire.
5.
Yeah.
There's an extra person in here.
Yeah, somebody's just cut them up.
Where did Ander go?
All right, but
What's Race doing?
Just like, oh no,
Wraith's,
I'm
like
Ander.
curled up next to Neris's head. He seems like he's sleeping right now.
Just a little cuts.
Yeah.
Heavily concerned about Wraith and White Dragons at the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
Not like specifically in that moment. In general.
Yep. Got it. But you get to a point where after like fucking around with the magical hat and shape-shifting it into a bunch of different other hats and getting it to where you want it to be, you're like, oh shit, I probably should have been looking around. And then you actually like stand up in the camp itself. You're not like trying to like sneak or be quiet, but you're walking light enough to where you're not gonna like wake everybody up from like stomping around. But you kind of walk up and down the path a little bit, look around, try to listen. Don't really hear anything. Nothing's really bothering you in any sort of like sensing danger type of way. You end up finding your way back. You actually doze off for a little bit before waking back up. Look around, start counting everybody. Everybody seems fine. Look around a little
Is
bit
there an
more.
extra guy?
No.
Two
Skip actually gets up. You're able to go back to sleep for a little bit longer, where he takes the watch, and you guys all wake up in what you would imagine is the morning, but still feels like some just nightmarish nighttime. It's cold. The air is very, very frigid. It's when you start to walk into it, feels like it beats you up. You know, the wind almost like pelts against your skin, and it's coming from the exact same direction it was before, just straight from the north. So if there's anything you want to do before traveling further, you are more than welcome.
That moves with me. So that would probably be helpful.
You got like a locate dragon spell?
No, nothing so convenient.
Damn.
Yeah.
Find a white dragon who.
Well, we're walking for now, but
Just yell out into the wind. Any dragons out there? No.
Pulls out.
oh,
Wraith just
that actually wouldn't help that much.
Doing better today?
I've unthawed a little bit.
I'll take that back.
Real quick. Real quick. Like, give me your fucking jacket.
Right.
A little cooler than I thought.
Just a bit.
all right. So after getting your supplies and everything gathered and warming up a bit, unthawing for some of you, you start to walk again once more.
Starting to adjust to the cold again.
Good for you. Must be nice.
Do you want like a torch or something?
I actually have one in my backpack. I'm just gonna.
Could have been using those.
Can I take it out?
Yeah, she lifts it up. He points towards it and it lights.
Thank you.
All right. Walking further, it doesn't get any warmer. It definitely gets colder.
Ah, should have known.
I don't
Shoulda
believe
known.
it.
It gets to the point where I need everybody to make Constitution saving throws again, please.
I do not unfortunately.
I'm gonna look.
Forgot about the hat. That dice is just on the run.
I don't know what it
This
is.
isn't
I can't
real.
read it.
There's no way. I mean, I'm okay with
Ander.
this. This is what
15.
it is.
Okay.
20.
Connor.
24.
Oh,
Oh
24 is
18.
okay. Neris again, being the only one feeling the effects of the cold.
I can't handle a cold guy.
She's kind of like sniffling. You can feel like the little bit of runny nose that you have freezing a little bit to your lip. Your eyebrows have the snow and ice crusted to them again.
Just like they say.
The
hot
hood
shake
that
and
you've
frost
pulled
bite.
up over your face, the whole like rim of it has ice and snow on it. It's not like you're the only one getting all of these effects. It's just bothering you more than anybody else.
I'm allergic.
Anders' like beard is just like this white
It's the beat.
snowy.
That's why I'm not
Yeah,
freezing
he
right now.
doesn't feel the cold on his face. There's just like this layer of ice that's just holding it in, but it's kind of frozen. At this point, Azrael is actually showing a little bit of stubble. More, I'd say it's actually like facial hair now instead of just stubble, and it's getting a little bit of snow on that. The ponytail you have in the back has snow sitting on it. Moldrak's face is almost like pushed flat from the wind just pushing into it and the snow, and he's just like kind of grinning. It's a little creepy looking, but he's okay. As for Zarvrax, nothing really like sticks to your scales or your like your hide that you have, but there is snow that finds places and stuff on your face. The wind that's kind of pelting down is very heavily blocked from the new hat that you formed. Like your shoulders though, and like your actual skin and stuff that are exposed on you, snow doesn't seem like it clings to it very much. As for you, Connor, I don't think you really have. Do you have a hood or any sort of thing of that
Not
nature?
on my robes, but I mean they're magical robes, so I'm gonna just
Yeah.
pop them up a little bit.
Right, gotcha. But you guys are all bundled up, and it seems that you're not super comfortable. I'd say the only people that are like walking, not like bundled and shaking, would be Zarvrax, Moldrak, and Skip.
Ander.
But it definitely
fly off the
definitely
mouth.
seems to be bothering Neris more than anything. Wraith on your shoulder. If you
He's
want-
happy.
yeah, he's like, if you want to make me big, you can jump on my back and I'll shield you from the wind.
Very well.
I'll just walk in front of us and
Don't
shield
mind.
us all from the wind.
He like flies down from your shoulder, and you like poke your hand out of the bundle you have it in, and like, then he grows in size, ducks down for you to jump on him. You kind of jump up and on. You can feel his shoulder blades kind of kick back a little bit where the wings are up more. The wind's not pelting down on you, but you can still feel the snow as he begins to climb and walk forward. Wraith is towards the back.
How wide is the mountain pass at the moment?
It varies from probably like a good 20 feet to a good 30 or so feet.
Okay.
So it's pretty
The dragon
wide.
can fit.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty wide. Where you came from, where it was like narrow, it was still like a good 10 or 15 feet.
Yeah.
The mountains that you're in right now are probably the biggest mountains in the mountain range themselves. So a lot of the mountain passes are quite large and quite wide. But the drops off of things are also much farther down. So you just have to be cautious.
Does the wind and like the snow and the weather seem unnatural in any way?
Go ahead and make a wisdom check.
Interesting question.
She makes Wraith big. Ezra gets an idea and he pulls out a statue and says, "Look off."
Yeah.
Summons it.
Yeah.
Hops on.
7. Wisdom checks are how much
Fire
helps.
too?
All right.
Yeah, he's a fire or something. Keep your
You watch Ezrael take the statue, speak the command word. This blazing, dark, jet black horse with fiery mane and tail jumps up, and he jumps onto it and is like holding the neck and just like laying there, blocking the wind. The horse is a little pissed off at first, you can tell. He starts to
Not a
like
nice
walk
horse.
forward. You kind of like holding it, you feel it buck a little bit, and then you just kind of like look over towards its head,
Like,
like,
come on, bro.
where,
Smack it on the
where
nose.
it looks back, and it's kind of like make an animal
He's
handling
like, I'll
check from
box the
smacking
shit out
it
of
on
you,
the
bro.
nose.
2.
6.
6. Okay. I need you to make strength save.
Catch a hoof to the face.
6.
After it kind of bucks from you, like grabbing around the neck, it turns around and looks at you as you look at it. You kind of try to like bitch slap it as best you can. It stings your hand a little bit from being cold. The horse itself bucks to where you fall down into the snow. You guys hear a thud. Turn around and see Ezrael like on the ground, bundled up. The horse sitting there like.
Get back up and try and get back on.
Yep, he let you back up.
Fine. Heavier way.
You're like holding the reins in your jacket and kind of pull it over and are moving forward. The horse is going forward. You want you to like look back at you every now and then before continuing forward. As for you, Czar, seems unnatural. That's all you got.
Seems unnatural.
Can I
Yep,
do
not
a-
really sure why.
Do a check.
Yeah, make a wisdom
Cool.
check.
Oof.
This shit
Maybe-
sucks.
maybe
You
try
don't
like
like
a
it here.
dice.
Yeah, you don't like
7.
it here.
Do you want some new dice?
Yes, please.
You don't like it here.
I'm not having a good time.
Horrible roll.
Yeah, you gotta do the.
I don't
do
care if it's real or not.
It looks like it's
I
snowing.
like the,
Snowing in it.
That might work.
that didn't work too well.
I don't,
This,
for what it's worth,
this dice shit.
something seems off about this weather.
Yeah, it's too damn cold.
No,
Yeah, real fucking cool.
This is advanced coldness.
I've spent some time in the northern part of this world, and
Yeah, me too.
it's never been quite like this, I guess.
Yeah, even in the mountains, I guess it doesn't really normally like blizzard and storm this much. I mean, it could be magical, but I don't know of any magic that can produce like storms like this.
It's just odd that it's only coming from the direction we're heading, like it's trying to stop us.
Maybe
It's a peak
you
observation.
got it. I don't know.
Oh, there you
He's
go.
having a bad time. Oh, Darage.
I have survival instincts, but I'm stupid.
Kind of gotta lift it up.
That's okay. I just can't roll, so I'm just gonna die.
Probably like gesture to Andrew too if you want to hop on.
It's okay. I'm on a
Try
dragon
to.
now.
I mean, clearly, if it's
If anybody wants to hop on,
if
Wraith.
it's blowing in one direction, we should probably keep going until it changes direction, and then we'll know where it's coming from.
Or we'll just find where it's going.
That could work. Well, I mean, we have to keep walking in the same direction anyways.
It was unnatural, but unsure of anything other.
Are you? Well, either way we have to keep walking, but I'll try and keep an eye out for anything strange.
I can't see anything, so
I'm gonna just look around for anything strange. How many days have we been gone now?
Too many.
Gone 6. Yeah. Leaving the estate, going to Arconoria, leaving the Lyceum. Since then, leaving the Lyceum 6 days.
Okay.
You are beginning the 6th day. You're not 100% sure what time of day it is either, because there's so much cover from the snow itself that you can't see the sky well enough.
Dragon killing.
All right.
On the 7th day, technically.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and make your. Or you'll do it. Yeah, that's right. My bad. Gotcha.
We're on 7.
Yeah. So it would have been. Well, this is a 6. You would have.
This was the first check.
Right,
I got
bank.
there, and then you said fast forward 4 days, and then we
Right.
just made another check in the alcove.
Right. You guys started on the 7th over there. Yeah, that's why. All right. So at this point, you guys are pretty much in the thick of it, you would imagine. But it doesn't seem like it lets up. The snow is getting heavier. You're now having to lift your legs up to walk through it. There are these wide bits of area
Swimming.
where you can see that there are mountains in the distance, and it seems like you're just going up this hill and walking through snow. There's no mountain walls around you, and you're starting to look around to what doesn't seem like there are much paths, I guess, where you're walking through. The snow itself is untouched. It doesn't seem like anything really travels around through here. You do see what looks like in the distance as you begin to walk a little further, a ton of tracks that are going in the snow, kind of long way and going kind of back towards where you guys came from, and it looks like they're going up on the mountain walls themselves. So you guys came from inside of those. This looks like those tracks went on one side up towards the top, and upon looking at them closer, they look like very, very large, wolf paw tracks. The paws themselves are probably about this big. They look huge.
You said there was 2 paths?
So
Or one going up, one going back?
there's just one set of tracks going back towards where you heard all of that kind of commotion coming from.
Okay.
But you guys are walking more in that direction.
Okay. Does it, looking around, is there any, can I see where it starts to get worse, or is it just, generally the same?
It seems generally the same, and that's mainly because you can't really see too far past where you are just because of the heavy snowfall. It's really hard to make anything out past 100 feet because of the snow that's coming down.
Next question. Walking
Yes.
in front, can I use, I guess just my feet and also shape water to kind of pack the snow for everyone as I'm walking forward? To at least make it some degree easier to walk?
Yeah, I say you can do
You have
that.
a right.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
that's
do that.
true.
If you want to use that, use that.
But yeah, between you and Wraith walking forward, if you want Wraith to go up towards the front and walk, whatever you guys decide.
That's fine, yeah.
Even if he's just side by side with you
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
guys are,
Yeah, we
carving
can do
some
that.
sort of a path. But yeah, it definitely makes it easier for you guys to travel. So I'd probably say with that, instead of traveling at a half speed through here, you're able to 3/4, you're going a little quicker. You can feel you're not burying, Anders not belly high in
I'm on
snow.
Moldrak shoulders.
Yeah, I picked him up and
All right, yeah, and Azrael and Neris offered if you wanted to jump on
yeah,
the
you
horse or Wraith, you could do so too.
That horse is spooky. Wraith can fly. Yeah,
Don't you have
I'm
an
on
animal
Moldrak
you can-
shoulders. Yeah, but it's only
I feel
6
it. I mean,
hours,
heat,
and then I have to wait 7 days.
Fire horse?
I have an
The
idea with him.
Heat
If
itself
I get too
doesn't
cold.
seem to
That's-
actually produce any form of
You're gonna cut him
energy.
open and
It
cleanse
just
his
seems
body.
Yeah. The horse itself is warm. But yeah,
It's not
Like
weird.
person or whatever.
right. The flames themselves don't have actual heat to them. Where if you
What do you
touch
mean
it,
by you
like a
people?
the flames just kind of lick and move around it, almost as if you were to push down on some sort of hair or liquid. It just
You too.
goes away.
A specific.
Yeah.
Just gonna lead on.
All right.
Keep an eye out for anything strange,
Like Darage.
or I don't know. I want to head into basically the worst weather possible, so
Sure
I'm gonna
seems
keep
that
my eye
way.
out for what might get worse.
Can I get a marching order?
Me and Wraith,
Okay.
people on his back. I don't know about the middle.
People on Moldrak's back are also.
Yeah.
Who is behind Moldrak?
Me
Czar?
technically.
I'll be behind him.
Okay. So if I could get Czar, Ander, and Moldrak to roll perception checks, please.
Okay.
I would
My
have
eyes are
Daenerys, but
fucking
she's just kind of like
crazy.
tucked
Yeah,
down, buried
I
in
don't blame
Wraith.
you.
Yeah.
Also, I probably just roll a 4.
I'll be in the back to be the little beacon at the signal at the end of the line.
Got it.
Flaming.
Perception?
Yes.
19.
Oh, nice.
What you got? Okay.
Not nice.
27.
Okay. Looking forward, Ander, you are up, and the wind is worse up here.
I got a
He's like,
mask.
how are you
Yeah.
dealing
Hat,
with
I'm
this?
hat's
Yeah.
probably like,
Yeah.
I don't even
So
know how I see. I'm gonna be
you're-
honest with you.
What you're looking
I'm
at,
gonna
you
put a
see
strap
like
on.
straight down. You can see straight down, and Moldrak, you're kind of looking forward. Zarbrax, you're just like you just seem so lost the whole time. Like you're just like, this is not right. Like you're just looking around like, this is not cool, guys. Like,
I do
cannot
not feel
puzzle.
good about where we're at.
the cold is to the point where, like, in your resistance, you're not bothered by it. Just being like really hardy. Like you're not. You're just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, looking around. But Moldrak and Ander, the two of you, Moldrak, you see in the distance. You have to kind of squint and look for a moment. You block your head above your eyebrows to cover a bit of the wind and
I put
snow.
Ander in front of me.
You take his jacket and kind of pull it around and look. You can see what looks like the flickering of a torch in the distance, and then it fades a little bit before it picks back up again. It looks like you're gaining on whatever it is, but it's still moving away from you.
Run it. I can't outrun it.
You looking down, Ander, can see what look like boot prints. And the only reason you can really see them and you notice that they're not yours is because nothing in front of you that's walking has boots on. Moldrak is walking with
Also, I'm
his...
not
does.
walking.
Yeah, and
so
you're
they're
not...
mine
yeah,
to be
exactly. Right. And you see them because of how large they are. They're probably about this big. You can see the boot print in the ground is probably about yay big.
That's a big.
It's like a shack-sized shoe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not like a footprint. It's like an actual boot is stepping into the ground.
I think I see a torch up there.
Moldrak, you aren't wearing boots, right?
It's a
Neither is Wraith.
I walk around
Yeah, no boots on Wraith.
there. You might just want to check that, but no.
I've been staring at the ground for the last like 3 hours since I've
Could have put them.
been
shoes
up
on.
here, and they're not my boots. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who wears boots, and they're also huge. If you look,
Yeah.
see on the ground.
I kind of stick my foot like next to one and
Yeah,
compare.
you're probably still got a pretty good size. This boot's like this big.
Okay, maybe that is I don't know, big person.
The observations
I
are
just
so.
thought I should point it out.
It looks a little small to be an actual giant, but I don't know. Hey, you guys, what do you make of these footprints? Also, I kind of see a torch ahead, so there might just be people in front of us.
Zarbrax kind of runs into you from you stopping, and he just like,
So so weird,
Ever
guys.
seen footprints this big?
Have I ever seen footprints that big?
Of the horse.
I'm gonna
Go
look
over,
at my
so I
foot
can
and
just
look at
look
how
at
it's kind of like a talon and be like,
He's like, shit, that doesn't match. What do you make of these, Connor?
Big feet. Big person.
Right.
so
Well,
they say
so
about
I
their
can
feet.
I can kind of see him.
Big person.
A torch light up ahead, but we
from,
can.
from stopping for a moment, you can see it slowly flicker.
Okay, we gotta keep walking if we want to catch whoever that is.
I'm just gonna start running ahead.
Okay.
Oh,
Zarbrax start like
maybe
Zooming in at him.
don't be hostile or aggressive.
He's holding his axe, just running at the guy. Hey, how's it going?
Let me ask you a question.
I was getting a little cold standing there, so I just started.
You want to just jog in place
Can I
next to
discern
us?
anything as everyone just quickly runs past it?
you make a survival check.
Natural one.
Yeah, no idea. You're like big footprints.
Who the fuck lives up here?
you're still kind of running ahead a little bit to try to keep up with
Those
it.
are the
Make a
big
perception check for me to find the actual torchlight itself.
21.
21, yeah. With that, you can actually see when you start to like charge forward after Modrak points. Like I see a torch over there. You just start jumping through the snow, kind of barreling forward. The light from the torch itself starts to get a little brighter the closer you get, but then every now and then flickers a little bit. You could tell probably from the wind or something, bringing more snow or something down to where you can't see far enough, but it comes into vision more. You watch Zarbrax a little bit ahead of you start to, just charge forward to try to get towards whatever light source it is. He's a good distance ahead of you to where it's really hard to hear, but you can see him. So you just kind of like, after telling everyone like a light jog type of deal, you start to pick up pace a little bit.
Run.
Start to pick up pace a little bit. Wraith is taking longer strides. The horse is having to trot a little bit just to like get up in the snow.
Everything sucks.
Connor, you're like shuffling really quick on the ground to get through. But you get to a point where you are probably only a good 20 feet behind what you can see in front of you. And what you see in front of you is a probably close to 8 foot tall individual, has over one shoulder what appears to be the torch, like holding it, and is over his shoulder some sort of tree log, probably about this big, that he's holding. And then you can see in his other hand, held by the tail, is some sort of very large wolf that he seems to be dragging behind him, and is just sitting like this, like walking forward. You can see the head down, the shoulders up. The frame itself is very gaunt and large, or not gaunt, but very like large and like almost, I wouldn't say like grotesque, but it's just this huge form in front of you, and there's like a silhouette of it, so it's really hard to make out everything in front of you. Like it looks like it's like this wide. The height of it is just unreal. Not really sure if you've ever seen a Goliath before, but this is what you're heading up towards. Once you get close enough, you're probably like a good 10 feet behind. If you're still just like barreling forward, are you like saying anything or just like running up?
Are we friends?
Well, I realize it's not human, right?
It appears it
Oh,
looks like a
he's just gonna
humanoid,
smoke him.
Okay.
just like a really big human.
Just fucking
Hey!
cuts him down.
Hey!
You watch the individual turn around with the wolf. You watch it drop it from the hand and turn. You can see on the side there looks like there's this very large bit of wood, and then on the wood there's just like a lot of bone and such that has been adhered to it for some form of a weapon. Turns around with the
Just
log, squints and leans forward, holding the torch still, rolls the log off the shoulder. The log disappears in the snow, and he like pulls it out towards you a little bit. Can see your form in front as you start to walk up, yelling, "Hey!" You've kind of stopped from running at this point, as you've noticed that has kind of taken your presence a little bit.
He's probably so confused.
Looking towards you, you can see now a little bit better what appears to be at least 7'4" large individual. They seem like they're so grotesquely large just due to the amount of furs that the person has on them. There's these heavy fur jacket. They have a hat on that has like not like ear flaps, but it almost is tied down onto the face. The face itself is clean shaven. You can see on the jaw right here, it looks like there's tattoos that come up and then over this way. You can see on the forehead some sort of like swirl type tattoo on both parts here. The knuckles that are reaching out towards you, you can see that it looks like there's some sort of a tattoo that comes up on that as well. Who are you?
I'm Zarak Stormborn.
What the fuck are you doing out here?
What the fuck are you doing out here?
Oh no.
I live in these mountains. And then at this point, you guys are starting to get up a little bit more, just not quite there yet.
I'm a keeper.
What is that?
We stop evil things.
All right. Just
Oh, we're looking for a dragon up here, and you're the first person we've seen in days. So I didn't know if you lived here or if there's a village perhaps around here.
he steps up probably 3 or so steps and ducks down to where he's pretty much in front of you almost. What are you looking for?
A dragon.
Come, quickly, with me, now, let's go. turns and he. Who are you?
We're with him.
They're with me. They're with me. They're the rest of
He takes the torch and starts to like pull it out. There are so many of you.
Yeah.
We're an alliance of heroes, so to speak.
Wouldn't he see Wraith right now too?
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm a
Wraith
hero.
is kind of towards the like where Moldrek is as he starts to take the torch.
Not
Kind
this
of
one.
Left to right.
It's not the one we're looking for.
Dezu! That is the dragon! He takes the club, lifts it up, and starts to like run.
Whoa! Wrong dragon. Wrong.
What do you mean, wrong dragon? There are only one!
This one is friendly?
This one is with us. Not all dragons are evil.
Can you, like, make him talk? So that we can...
Wraith,
Pound it.
Wait, puts up his
Just fucking
Wraith, stay back. Stay back, Wraith.
He looks all like
Can you
scared. And it's
can you
just-
make him small? Does that take time?
It takes her like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
He's just kind of standing there.
We can promise that he means you no harm.
It is a he.
Yes.
yes.
He puts the club to the side. That is your beast?
Companion?
Yes.
Young
Well, unless you
Slice,
will, I
homie.
You may not be
He
able
punches
to
you back into the ground.
Elven woman on his back.
There's peeks up and over and has like been yelling the whole time.
Yes!
Let us get out of the cold then, with me.
Oh, please.
I will warn my people of him before we go in though.
Good call.
We can
We can
Can
make,
make
him,
him
I can make
small.
Yes.
perhaps.
Tiny.
I can make him small.
Like a lizard.
Whatever you wish, if you want him inside or you want to hide him, but
Yeah.
for now, let's move.
Okay.
This cold does not let up.
You want somebody to grab that log, or are you just gonna leave
Got
that?
it?
I'll scoop it up.
He starts to pick
Oh,
this stuff
yeah.
up.
Nice.
I just one-handed.
The Goliath's like, you're just like,
He puts the torch in the one hand to lift the log
Strong
up,
cat.
and after lifting the log, kind of turns around. You can see the wolf that's just kind of sitting there on the ground. You could walk over and grab it, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. You grab it and kind of pull it a little bit. It's got some fucking weight to it. It is a pretty big wolf. It's
Logs out of the
probably
bag.
a good almost 6 feet just in length. It probably stands a good 5 or so, and it's built very, very stocky.
Pull a Goliath out
The front part of the wolf is a lot larger than the back legs are, but you just kind of grip it up by both legs and the tail, throw it over your shoulder, and you can feel the paws are dragging through the snow just from the angle that it's kind of sitting at, but you don't really have too much of an issue dragging it forward and through the snow. As you begin to follow this very, very large individual, you can see that he starts to go a little bit eastward from where you are, towards what you can see to be a small little bit of mountain. There's like a small mountain range. You can only see it because it's quite close. You walk for probably a good 20 minutes or so. While you're walking, the wind is still coming from the north, so it's just pounding the left side of your body, like your face. Your clothes are being pushed over to the side. But once you get to the bottom of this bit of mountain range, you can see that there is some sort of cavernous entrance that he begins to walk towards. Once he gets up to it, you can see that there is this very, very large block of kind of combination of ice and rock. It doesn't seem like it has been thawed or anything for a very long time, and it's just this huge piece of ice that's sitting in front of this large doorway. The doorway itself is probably only like 8-9 feet tall, but you watch him just kind of drop the log, take one hand and just start to like roll it slowly, like one big pass at a time before he gets it wide enough. It's probably wide enough for all of you to definitely fit through, but he has to, go in sideways. And then once you get in on the other side, you can see that there are these large, almost like climbing spikes that have been dug into the back side of it. And he just kind of grabs a rope that's attached to it and keeps pulling it to roll it back to where it was. The piece of ice itself is just kind of leaning against the cave wall, like the entrance, to the point where, you know, you could probably push it over to the other side, but it's just so heavy that most of its weight is just pushed against the wall itself, and it's somewhat easily rolled from side to side. You definitely have to be pretty strong to move it in order to get into here, and to even like push it over as well. But you guys all get brought into the interior of the cave. This entrance that you are in is pretty dimly lit. You can see it's somewhat small for an individual of this person's size, and looking at them, they are definitely a Goliath. You guys know what Goliaths are just based on Gorak, and don't really think there have been any others that you've really encountered throughout your travels that I can think of.
Mostly.
Just Gorak.
Maybe one or two others.
Yeah, just trying not to melt other campaigns in my mind.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I really don't think you guys have come across one.
Does this guy have the exact same tattoos as Gorak?
No.
Alright.
Most
Is this Gorak?
This is not Gorak. You're more than welcome to ask him his name, but he is standing in front of you. You can see this big poofy hood that he has that's made of fur. Seems heavy to where it just kind of sits on the frame of his head. He pulls that back to reveal these very, very dark black stripes, like tattoos that go down into one very solid stripe on the back of his neck that you'd imagine go down into more tattoos. So he's kind of just got the ones that come up and over the nose, the swirls over towards his foreheads, and then the stripes that come up towards those swirls themselves. After he pulls the hood back, all of you are kind of jammed in here, with Wraith being the way he is right now. He is kind of like actually inside, but he's just laying against the wall because there's really not a ton of room for him to be kind of spread out. And now that he's looking, he's like, yeah, that is not Dezu. Too small to be Dezu.
What
Too small.
is Dezu? The dragon?
Yes. Dezu is the frigid death.
I like that name.
Cool.
That's a good name
Can I
for
have
somebody
that
we're
after
going
we
to.
kill the dragon?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
What is your name?
Andrew Weffet, the frigid death.
I'm Ogdar.
Wait, stop asking stuff. I don't have my notes ready.
Who is the dragon?
His name is Wraith.
Do you want me to tell my people of Wraith, or
wanna
what do
make
you
him
want to proceed?
small?
I could make him small. It is entirely up to you. I don't like the world. I'm really believing all dragons are terrible beings. So if they're comfortable with it, won't hunt him, yeah, feel free to tell your people.
Well.
He's good. He won't eat anybody or anything like that.
If anything, they would more fear him. But if you can make him small, it may be easier to handle than him being...
Well, you're probably right. I mean, he's quite the big boy. Okay,
Might give us some
I
more
make him
room in
small.
here.
You watch Nera start to weave her hands around. This bluish purple energy swirls around Wraith before he kind of shrinks down a little bit, flies up to her shoulder.
How warm is it in this little, like...
Much warmer. The wind is really what fucks you up when you're outside of here. Blasting in your face, it's like razors almost against your very cold and gentle skin because of the cold making it, you know. But once Wraith is made smaller, Ogdar kind of leans forward. Kind of cute.
He is quite cute.
He
He
still
says thank
seems a little hesitant and backs up.
I want to cover my face, so I'm
Yeah.
not just like a masked figure.
Right. Hey!
Inside.
I'll have to bring you to the chieftain. He will definitely want to speak with you.
Okay.
There is a village here.
If you would call it that. We are more of a people now.
You guys don't happen to sell furs, do you?
No, but we have plenty more if you need.
Okay.
You referred yourselves as a group of some sort or with a name?
Once we did have one.
What happened?
I will let Chieftain explain.
Fair enough.
We were once a strong people, proud in the mountains, before the frigid death came.
What caused him to show up?
She has been here for as long as I can remember. Your answers will be better asked from the chieftain.
What's their name?
The chieftain?
Yeah.
Keeched.
I like that name.
Well, lead on.
You don't happen to have any medicine on you, do you?
You got like a tunnel that goes straight from here to there, so we don't have to go through the wind again.
Yes, follow me.
I think it's all tunnels now.
I'm going. I don't want to interrupt.
You walk for probably 4 to 5 minutes.
Is it just his torch in here?
Yes.
Alright.
And Neris's torch. She just kind of was sitting there before on Wraith's back, just like holding the torch by her face. But now, since she's got down and Wraith is made smaller, he's just up on her shoulder and she's just kind of holding it, probably in the middle of the group. But it's dimly lit in here.
I have some light, dude. Right?
Oh, and the horse emits enough light to see a good distance too. So you are good with that. Your head's probably only a good 1.5 feet from the ceiling, so you're having to duck down, and especially when the rock formation comes down a little bit, you find yourself ducking over to the side. You watch.
Do I have to duck?
No, you're good, believe it or not.
Wasn't sure.
But you watch Ogdar duck down several times, getting through here.
My bad. It looks very similar.
Billy,
Yes.
any headache medicine?
Probably. I'll look in 1 second. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, you're okay. Take your time.
Do you want Tylenol?
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or-
Jerry, can you go upstairs in the medicine cabinet? Please.
Aw, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Darridge. Darridge, could you grab me a water?
Anything else that anybody wants?
That's it.
Water, Tylenol.
Can you cook me a steak while you're
I got you. I'll be back in an hour.
Oh my golly.
If you're already making a steak, just make me one.
You go,
Steaks, water, and Tylenol.
you go promote me to master too?
I got you. I'll be back in a
Grab just grab 2 of them out of the Tylenol thing. They're 500 milligrams.
Appreciate it.
Okay. You start to walk through. The tunnel itself narrows a little bit, but opens up to what you can see is now what seems like a straight path. The cave walls have several writings on them of large creatures fleeing from an ice blue depiction of what seems to be a dragon-like face. You can see in writing underneath, most of it you can't make out, but you can see what looks like more paintings of these large creatures, who you're assuming these large creatures are the Goliaths, as they're standing in humanoid type, bipedal-like, standing over the bones of large beasts. You can see a drawing of what looks like an arena that appears to be a Goliath versus Goliath in a 3v3 type of deal, along with this depiction of like this arena that climbs to different states, where it seems like it goes from this to a long climb up a mountain to what appears to be like a picking up of some form of a stone, and then a descent down the mountain, and then following that it looks like somebody being praised and applauded and cheered on after accomplishing whatever this seems to be. Then you can see another depiction of what seems to be these large Goliath-like depictions on the walls of them hauling cattle, one in each arm, or large logs over their shoulders as they climb up these steep mountains. The further in you get, you can see what looks like a depiction of a Goliath man and woman surrounding what appears to be a young Goliath, with a passage under it saying, "Rest in might." Getting further down the wall, you see that there are more of these almost grave-like markings and drawings on the walls, memorials, if you would. You can see that you are now escorted into what is a large opening inside of this cave. The end of it, at the other end of this opening, is closed off. It doesn't look like another tunnel or anything leads further into here. You see that there are probably half a dozen or so Goliaths inside of here. there are large tents. You can see very large, strong Goliath individuals inside of here, but they all look sad. They look like they don't have purpose. They seem to be struggling with the life that they now live. There's only 2 small, younger Goliaths that you can see. That's included in the half dozen or so people that are here. One of them is standing in front of the individual you're being brought over towards, and the other is just sitting by another fire that's off in the corner. Appears to be bundling up bits of water and turning it into like ice almost as he's setting it onto the very, very cold stone, like he's picking up handfuls of melted ice and setting it over near like ice itself and watching it just kind of freeze against the wall. Doesn't seem like anything magical that he's doing. It just seems that it's extremely cold against the wall itself. The individual you're brought over to, you can see is currently sitting and cooking a piece of food over the large fire that is in the middle of the cave. You can see he has a hood over his head. He's wearing some furs over his shoulders. His frame looks large and his hands are massive. The fire itself is probably a good 5 feet around, and the firewood looks like several like half trees or very, very large logs. Another Goliath walks over and tosses a log onto the fire while the individual you were brought to extends his hand out to the child that's in front of him, who's about Anders' size. And as he hands the food out towards him, you can see that it's some sort of very, very dark kind of meat. Hands the food out. Ogdar steps forward. Chieftain, bring you keepers. I said that they are something of heroes. They came for Dezu. The individual that is hunched over, the fur is over his shoulder along with the hood that you can see, similar to the hood that Ogdar has. His back to you at this point, you can see his massive hands out in front of him after he hands the food over. The palms of his hands are very calloused. They almost seem like they're constantly dirty just from the amount of calluses that are there. His hands have this almost like leathery look to them, but they seem strong. You can see his very, very large fists as he just kind of clasps them together, his back kind of still to you. Takes his hands to the sides of the chair that he is currently sitting in, sits up a little bit before just adjusting it over to the side to face the fire once more. Once he faces the fire, you can see that he has 2 tattoos that just go straight over his eyes and then down. And then you can see on his neck what almost looks like the mouth of a dragon, just like the top snout is like sitting like right here. And you can't really see anything further down on his body. The only tattoos you really see are the ones going down his eyes this way across the neck, and then that one dragon neck that's coming up this way. Turns and looks. Dezu has brought you to the mountains.
That's correct.
Why?
We heard she is wreaking havoc on the people of these lands.
She has been for many years. Why now?
Because we made a promise to our friend that we would stop this creature.
My people have been in these mountains for many a year. Dezu, the frigid death. The damned beast has killed our people for years. She's monstrous, merciless and strong. Fought her, we have. But only death is what we find for ourselves. He looks over to the 2 young kids now that are over in the corner, the young Goliaths. We're tired of our young dying for a battle we cannot win. Kevaki may send us to the hells, but we are not mighty enough to be greeted by her at Mount Celestia. But if that's what it takes for them to live a life, then so be it. We're a clan of black sheep now, waiting for the wolf to slaughter us. My brother and his family were killed by that dragon. To this day I wish to avenge them, and so many that have fallen. But I fear it is far too late for me. My strength is behind me now.
Thank you, dearest.
We don't quite know where our friend came from, but he was of similar make to you all. He told us his people were attacked by this creature, and we wish to stop it. Even if we may not look it, we are quite capable.
He starts to kind of look over everybody now at this point.
Just a little bit, try to show dragon teeth on my necklace. He's talking about capable. Oh, capable as shit.
Dude, the other Goliaths are all kind of just like standing around watching. Kind of like just get off the horse and just, can I have one of those? Just fur coat.
One of them just you put it on and it's like a blanket.
I get like a glove.
I look over and I do the same thing. Please, Gib. Please, Gib.
Yeah. You can see Ogdar at this point is now like walking and handing you guys cloaks and furs. They're all very large, but for the time being are good to like put around you and warm up more. While the chieftain is still talking to you, he just kind of goes around and hands it to you. There is clothing that actually fits you perfectly. The kids that walk around here are pretty much the same size of you, so they have clothing already.
He's like, hey, you want to fight?
I'll smoke a kid.
Keeged now. Keeged now in front of you. You said your friend.
Yes. His name was Gorak. I don't remember if he told us he had a last name or not. It'd be really far back.
Do I remember more, or Gorak having a last name?
Make a wisdom check.
Or if I'm proficient in memory.
Oh shit.
What is that?
Just invented his number.
I'm a luck.
It'll probably be on the first page.
Natural 20.
I just
I
wrote
know everything
Gorak.
about Gorak.
Last name was Caligatho. Caligatho.
Ander can't even
Yep.
say that. Why would you?
Gorak Caligatho, I think.
He looks over, eyes widened a little bit more.
I don't think he ever told us that. Maybe he did.
He sits up a little bit. I am Keeged Caligatho. Gorak is my nephew. Where is he? What does that mean?
I didn't say that.
He unfortunately is no longer in this world.
What happened?
Succumbed to illness.
I didn't know that he was still alive.
We made a promise to him that we would come here and we would stop this creature. And we intend to see that through.
I hope you can fulfill that promise.
I hope we can too.
There was a time where these mountains were not nearly as treacherous as they are now. The winds
Still strong, but not like this. The snow cold, but not frigid. We had a strong village. Many people in our time knew of us. The Stonebacks. They would come to us for work. They needed muscle, strength, strong fighters even. It's hard to remember that time. I was young when Dezu came. The first time. My brother was much older than me. Him and his wife, and I thought Gorak along with them were killed in the first attack. More than half of us were wiped out as well. What was left of us, we decided to make a stand, seek out Dezu, put an end to her terror. But as I said, all we found for ourselves was death. He starts to unfurl the coat that he has on his side. The one and only time I got close enough, she bested me. He lifts up his side to where you can see this just gnarly scar of what looks like his skin is very taut, like there was some sort of large wound, and the skin itself just started to slowly hold itself together, but it's almost this bit of a divot. When she bit me, I thought that was it, but I crawled myself across the snowy ground and made my way back. Our healers tended to my wounds, but the scar is a constant reminder of my failure. I had her right there, her face before me, and I could do nothing. I live with that every day. And every death after that fight that I brought to her, I blame on myself. If you really wish to seek out the frigid death, I ask to go with you. Her lair is a place not so easily traveled. She sits atop the frigid caps, tall mountains that you must climb to. There is no path. She waits up there for her hunger to set in before finding her next meal in these mountains.
Do you know how long she takes between meals?
No, we stay hidden in here. And before we were in here, you could never tell.
Why did she come here?
Nobody knows. We were peaceful, thriving even, as a people. And she came unexpectedly. Like I said, it's hard to remember a time without her being here.
Is there other villages nearby?
Algar, at this point, kind of speaks up. Yeah, there is one. More than one. They're all dwarven, though. The Icebeards of the far western side of the northern mountain range are strong, and they're a peaceful folk. They mainly live in the mountains and live off of what they can. They have many homes and cavernous buildings. It's very tucked away, isolated. They know of Dezu as well. They've built their homes this way because of her. And I don't remember of what name they are, but I was just there when I found this meal. And he kind of gestures his head over towards the wolf. A small dwarven village but never farther here.
There are only dwarves there?
Yes,
Did you,
but when
did you happen to see any human footprints?
I did not look when I went. I was just there where I found him, as I said, and it's completely encased in ice. There's nobody alive there. Everybody was in pieces, broken. And I'm assuming that those who did not share that fate suffered their own terrible fate elsewhere.
I heard of an attack maybe two and a half, 3 weeks ago, maybe. That might be it.
More than likely.
Well, you know the way, so we don't have any right in saying you can't come along.
I take out one of the. It's got 2 bullets with Gork's ashes in it. So I grab one of them.
I don't know if you people really like. I don't know how you guys like celebrate the death, but I do have some of his ashes in this. If you wanted it.
Reaches forward with his huge hand, and grabs it. See it, him holding it, it's about this big, and his fingers are probably about that wide. As he holds it. I remember Gorak being much bigger.
I couldn't really fit all of them into it. I would give you this one, but this one's for the dragon.
For the
Takes it and puts it in his, like a pocket inside of the jacket. For now, rest and eat.
Alright.
I need a little time to prepare.
Take the time that you need. Alright. Well, you heard him.
Would it be too much to ask if we can fashion some of these to be our size at the journey?
No. My wife also, she will help. She does much of the work around here.
To your size.
She's
That's about right.
the heartbeat of our people right now. She does everything she can. I'm sure she can help you as well. All of the tents are all but taken. So, you don't mind on the floor, I'm sure.
It's not an issue.
We've done it for the last 6 nights. What's one more?
He puts his hands to the side, and at this point now, standing up, he's probably pushing a lot closer to 8 feet. He is massive. You can't really see too much under the fur clothing that he has, but you can tell that he is definitely a strong individual. His knuckles, now that you're seeing them, are very, very heavily scarred. As I said, the palms before, very, very heavily calloused. You can see when he stands up, and the clothing that he has is not like bundled up and tucked towards his neck, and is now sitting down a little further. You can see an actual, like, what appears to be like affirmed a dragon head that is sitting kind of right here. Can't see much past that though, but the snout coming up towards the neck, and then the head being about here or so. You can see what looks like a little bit more ink that is on this side, but not super important, just something to note that he seems like he has some sort of large piece on his chest. Yeah, he makes his way towards the entrance that you just came into to kind of make leave from here. You guys start to lay down and rest up a little bit. You watch Ogdar walk over towards the wolf and begin to like skin and cut it open and take a lot of the meat out of it. Osu, you can see, is a very, very large woman. She's probably a good 6'7". She has very, very broad shoulders. Her skin is a lot like the Goliaths that you've seen. They look almost like leathery in a way, where their skin is kind of almost, if it could callus up a little bit to be more resistant to the wind and everything, so it's not as soft. Hers is actually quite soft. You can see she doesn't seem like she really walks out into the snow too much. Walks over to all of you and begins sizing everybody as best she can. The wolf that is over on the side begins to be like cured and hung up to be used. Doesn't use it for you guys right away. She just kind of grabs like scrap furs and old furs that people really don't seem like they wear, and tattered, cut up stuff, and fashions up, not very, very well, but fashions up a good amount of fur for most of you to wear, to be a little bit warmer. So it's, Andrew, you're already set with what you got. Neris, you get a good enough, little bit of like a coat or something. For you, Azrael, the big one that you were handed just kind of gets fashioned down a little more to just be a large jacket similar to what you have, but it's in like fur form. And then just pretty much capes for whoever else would have wanted one. Moldrak and Zara, you guys probably didn't really need or get one, just for reasons. Yeah. If you were to get anything, it really wouldn't be anything too crazy, just because of the limited supply of stuff that they have. So it's up to you if you actually want to take it or to leave it for.
Could I take the like the ceremonial furs that I have from Azash and kind of fashion them over top my armor?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to kind of some furs.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Alrighty.
Didn't die from the cold. The dragon's the easy part. The dragon's the easy part.
Oh, we still gotta climb.
Easy. I got relative climbing gear. It's not actually climbing gear, but it's close.
A little bit of time passes. Many of the Goliaths that are in here look over at you for some time, staring, gleaning you over. None of them seem like aggressive or anything, just more curious and thrown off by your presence and being here. Many of them gather around as the food gets fully prepared, and there really isn't much of the wolf that they don't use or eat. And you can see the bones get brought over to what appears to be some sort of a large crate that is in the corner to be used for other purposes. Next to the crate, you can see that there are several large-ish kind of bone-like weapons, probably equivalent to like a long sword, very, very large like clubs, nothing really too intense other than that. You can see Ogdar over in the corner, seems to be outside of what is his tent. He is taking what looks like all of the teeth and like claws from the wolf itself, and is doing his best to go around and tie off the teeth to make some form of a bracelet or necklace, whatever it may be. And Osu makes her way over to help him a little bit. After helping him, kind of rubs his bald head, gives it a pat, and walks off. Probably like a good 15-20 minutes pass after everybody has eaten, so nearly an hour of you being within here. Keeged makes his way back in. You can see now that he has gathered what appears to be something. He has this large bundle. It looks like it's probably about this big around. It's like this big piece of leather that has several pieces of like twine and rope on it to hold it all together. Looks like it was very, very heavily covered in snow and some sort of dirt, actually. You can see that he himself has like what looks like a little bit of sweat coming from the sides of his head that have kind of frozen to it. What he's holding, you can see that his hands have what looks like a little bit of like dirt on them from possibly digging. Walks over with the bundle and goes towards a tent, probably like a good 8 or so feet from you, to where you can just see what he's doing, but you're not like surrounding him. Takes it and sets it onto some sort of very, very large stone table that is near the tent that he has, and starts to unfurl everything that's inside of it. Inside of it, you can see that there are probably about half a dozen very, very large javelins. They're probably about 6 feet in length. There is some sort of a quiver for them that he starts to pick them up and slide them into. After he gets those fashioned, he takes that quiver with the javelin, sets it to the side. They appear to be made of a pretty good steel as well. You watch him reach forward and grab what looks to be some sort of a, not really like a great axe, it's just a very, very large, like lumberjack type axe. There's just one blade, like there's one side that has a blade to it, and it's just like a big blade. It's probably about this big round, kind of curves out. It almost looks like if you were to take one of those like axe traps, like that swing across, and just take that blade off and set it onto a handle. It's a very, very large blade that he has. It kind of takes it. You can see that the wood handle itself is a little gnarled. It looks like it may have warped from being in the conditions it was. The blade itself is slightly rusted, but nothing too major. The javelins have a little bit of, looks like wear on them. After he hits that, standing where he is standing, you watch him kind of take towards the front and unbuckle the furs that he has on and roll them off the shoulders. At this point, when he rolls them off the shoulders, you can see his very, very large muscular back and form that he has. The shoulders themselves almost appear like he has these very, very large like traps, but the traps themselves, they almost look just like nasty because of how toned they are from the musculature. It doesn't really look comfortable to be like that. It just looks like so too muscular. When he moves his arms around, you can watch like every portion of his shoulders like are flexing around. You can see that his frame, he's a lot stronger, like up onto his shoulders and his arms and his chest and his legs, but you can see he almost like V's down in towards the stomach, where he doesn't seem like he has like a belly or some sort of wide frame there. As he's grabbing all of the items, you can see that when he drops those first, he grabs a different set and kind of throws that around, and you can see that those have some clasps and things on them. They look like they're more appropriate for like fighting type of furs than anything. And after he places those on, he takes that javelin kind of quiver type holster and pulls the straps around before fastening it through the buckle and starting to tighten and ratchet it down to be across his body. Takes the axe, gives it like a quick kind of twirl, holds it and moves it around a little bit before resting it onto his shoulder and walking over to you guys. Once he gets over to you,
Hope you've rested enough. We have a little bit of a journey ahead of us. And once we get there, we'll need your strength. It is a long climb.
I'm gonna take my pistol out of my bag, put the bullet into it, and then put it on the holster. I think I probably never took the holster off.
yeah, it's probably just on your belt, empty all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
I'm gonna repeat across, so I'm strap it from the bag, take the top canister off, and load two regular bolts and then 3 dragon slayers on top. Clamp it on.
Okay.
Catch it back to them.
So that way the 2 normal ones shoot first and then the 3 after. Got it. Okay.
Is there anything you wish to do before we leave?
You guys don't have enough potions of cold resist, do you? No, nothing. You got potions of cold resist? Is that what you're looking for?
No, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck I wrote for the damage of these things.
6d10.
5. Okay.
Let's go then.
Alright. For gore.
At this point, you made your way out of the cave. After the 5-minute walk it takes, you watch him roll the large ice block door out of the way, and then you see before you, Neris, it makes you cringe looking at the wind and snow out inside as it starts
It's rough
blasting
out here,
down.
boys.
Yeah. As you step out into the cold and start to travel, I need everyone to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, here we go.
Neris, you're good at these, so.
You're not serious.
Wait, I do. Yes. Okay. I forgot. Oh, thank you.
For those of you that have the clothing, you can add a +5 to your roll on top of whatever else.
Easy.
Does that include like the cloak?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
15.
15.
With the +5.
Okay.
Clive.
Natural 20.
Oh yeah.
28.
Yeah,
Mine
it's
too.
actually gets warmer.
13.
What?
13.
13. Okay, you're good. 8. Okay.
Oh.
Takes the fur cloak. Whew, it's warm.
He almost fell in the grave.
All right.
Did if it wasn't for that +5.
All right. Oh man. All right. So you guys start making your way out into the cold. The wind is picking up quite a bit. It almost gets to the point where you're unable to like hear everything around you, and all that there is the wind. Zarvrax, since you asked the first time, you can make another wisdom check.
Is this weather weird yet?
Horse is still going, I think, because it's 24 hours.
Yeah, you can jump on the horse again if you want.
It's worse.
Okay, yeah. Alright, never mind then. You guys start to walk.
Is the dog when I summon him always the same? Or could it be a different dog every time?
What does the card say?
You're probably looking towards the bottom, like the second paragraph.
It's supposed to be a max. But we
Who said it could be a Saint Bernard? So yes, it's the same every
My
time.
hair?
Brown or blonde.
Oh.
It's long.
It's not blonde, it's orange.
Blonde.
It's orange. I don't want it back.
The wind starts to pelt against your skin once more as the snow is falling down. You can feel the cold now is definitely in the negative degrees. You're not really sitting in anything above 0 right now. And where you begin to walk is more north. You can't see very far in front of you, but you are trusting that Keej knows where he's going. He is walking with purpose. He has the axe thrown over his shoulder the entire time. You are beginning to get to a time where you really have no idea what time of day it is. You don't know if it's morning, night, afternoon, whatever it is. You don't see the sun. The snow itself puts over this blanket over the entire region that doesn't allow you to really get much light. You don't really have a good visual on a lot of things. It's very hard to hear, and all you're in for now is the long walk. You are walking very, very cautiously the further you get, just because you don't know when you're going to be closer to where it is you're actually heading. And especially if it's some form of a lair, you really want nothing to do with it, like just being, whatever. When you get up to it, you really want to be paying attention, looking out, and on your toes. So when you start to get a little closer, you'll really know, or Keej will let you know. But for the time being, you're just more trying to get through this weather than you are trying to get to where you're headed. Keej doesn't seem to have a problem with the cold. You'd imagine he's been up here for a while, and with the furs he has on and such. The furs that he replaced with the other ones aren't nearly as heavy, but they still seem to be helping him with the resistance to the weather around him. If I could have everyone make a perception check, please.
Normal.
Yes, for this one it would be normal.
Oh heck, oh heck. I have to go down. I can't see.
16.
I'm sorry, I
You're
exited
okay.
out on accident.
16. 6 with an actual.
Alright, I'm just gonna roll.
I'll just bury my face in the hide of the horse.
Is that a 3? That's a 3.
Nice.
16, 18, 16. Okay, so Ander, Connor, and Moldrak, you guys see it briefly. As for Azrael, you're just kind of buried in the horse as it trots along. And Zarbrax, you're still just fucking... Something is off, man, and I don't like it. But you, continuing forward, all of you, Narish, your head is just down, and you're letting the cloak sit above you as you're just trying to stay warm and not really focused on everything around you. You can see in front of you, Zarbrax's feet as he's stepping, so you're just kind of trailing behind him. As for the three of you, though, Ander, Connor, and Moldrak, looking around everywhere, your vision is very, very heavily obscured, and the snow itself is pushing straight across, right at you, it seems. For the most part, if you look up, it's really not too bad because it's lightly falling. It just seems like once the wind is on the ground, it's really pushing hard against whatever is down there. When you guys look up, as you are looking, you can see that they're not really like clouds. It's almost like these huge pockets of just snow. I guess it would be pockets, but there's just these big ass clusters of snow that are just slowly falling down, and when they get further down, they start to just disperse a little bit. It doesn't really seem natural. It seems that there is some sort of effect over the land. You can see that as you're looking up where the snow is beginning to fall. Above that, there is what I guess would be some semblance of cloud cover. It's more of a fog, but you can see above it a little bit, if there was some form of a silhouette, and you do see a silhouette very, very briefly. You see what looks like some sort of a very, very large wing that just kind of passes by and just disappears in the distance.
In the direction we're heading?
Yes. Okay. As you look up and the wing just passes by, it's hard to gauge how big or small it was, but you definitely see something go past. And you're imagining if you could see something in this, it's something large. You're imagining you didn't just see the wing beat of a small sparrow or something fly past. Whatever it was pretty big. As it passes and kind of flies off, the three of you are stop for a moment, look up at it, and then slowly continue forward. But it's just a brief moment that you catch it. There's no sound or anything that you heard. It was just this quick sight of whatever flew past.
Wing flap.
I just keep walking. I don't say anything.
Look at that thing.
Keeged turns around after probably a good hour of seeing what you saw. We're getting close. Prepare yourselves. 3 hours before we get to the mountain. Once we get there, it's a long journey up.
Okay.
I brought some extra supplies to help with those who are going to struggle with the climb, but once we get there, we will figure it out. Just keep going for now. Is everyone okay?
Everyone?
Hey, bro. You wanna just fly up there?
Thumbs up from the back of the horse.
Alright, let's keep going.
Right. Continuing to push forward for the long walk that you have, I need another Constitution saving throw from everybody.
Why?
If you have the cloak, you get the cold arm or cold clothing, whatever it is you want to call it, fur clothing, you get the +5.
21.
21,
28.
28,
30.
30.
12.
Are you serious?
Do a different technique. Try just doing
I
something.
have to.
Roll it off through your forehead.
Yeah.
You gotta
do
stop
the
rolling
do
however you roll.
the do the skip eyeball roll.
Oh my gosh.
Like 26.
Hey, is that a 10?
20.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, double digits.
That is pretty
Sorry, with
good.
my left hand.
What did you get? Sorry.
26 for the
That's
next 20.
easy.
Oh, good shit. 17.
All right,
Okay,
left
so
hand it is.
everybody's still good.
Oh, golly.
But making it those 3 hours and getting ready to climb up this mountainside. Once you get to it, the snow and the wind. Everybody can make a wisdom check now.
That's a 1.
Oh, no, I said left hand.
Oh,
and I used
sweet.
my right. Damn it. Is that a 2? Oh, it's a 7.
Oof.
17.
Okay.
18.
Okay.
17.
Okay.
Just
13.
7.
Okay.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, just 7.
Just 7? Okay. All right. So, you get 13?
Yeah.
Okay. Just make sure.
Close to a 30 now.
After looking around now, Zarbrax, you're kind of like, oh shit. Wait. Found it out.
The gears are turning. The brain is functioning.
The whole time you were walking, you could see that, like, everybody thought you were just fucking, like, what the fuck? Like, looking at whatever, not even paying attention, just la la la, skipping around. But you could see, like, when you're looking at the snow that's coming towards you, if you looked over, like, as far as you could see, the snow is actually, so if the snow's coming at you this way, the snow that's over there is going this direction, and then the snow past that's kind of going this way. The snow wasn't all, the wind's not coming from the same, it's not like there's like an east wind, it just seems like something was like propelling wind downward in a direction. Once you get up to this mountain, you can see that the snow that is around the base of it is just being pushed out from the mountain, and this source of wind is coming from here. The wind is very, very strong here. It's probably close to like 30-mile-an-hour gusts. You can feel the clothes are being pushed. If you were to just like try to stand straight up in your clothing and catch a little bit of wind, you would get put pretty much on your ass because of how strong it is. You can try to if you want.
Grab his leg as he launches backwards.
Flying squirrely just opens
But
his arm.
for Ander, Connor, Czar, and Azrael, the 4 of you looking at the mountain and seeing the snow kind of pushing down in the direction it is, you can tell that the source of this cold and this wind is coming from the mountain itself. And it's not like one lone mountain. So there's this very, very steep mountain that kind of goes upward, and you can see the top of one of them that is just covered in what it seems to be some sort of blanket of ice and snow, along with 2 or 3 smaller ones that are similarly covered with that. And then there is this 1 or 2 towards the back where you can't really see the tops of them because of the snowfall that's coming down. As you get to the mountain, the 4 of you seeing that, Keej looks over towards everyone. This is where we get ready to make the climb. I hope you are ready. Who thinks you will need assistance with climbing?
I can probably climb with Ander on my shoulders.
Can I just fly up there?
You know how to fly?
Wraith does.
I know Wraith does. He's asking if you know how to fly.
He doesn't know that Wraith gets big.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that might be. He might start thinking we're fighting 2 dragons.
I could probably use some help. I don't know if I can
It
climb
might be
icy
easiest
icy
if,
rock wall.
if I go up and I can just pull you guys up.
How high up do we have to go?
So what you're looking at, it's hard to tell where you're going to have to go or what you're going to have to do without really asking Keej to know what it is that you have ahead of you. But you'd imagine just looking at the mountain, you probably have like close to 200 feet to climb up before you're at any sort of a spot where you can be standing on or some sort of a break, because it's just this flat surface that has a couple of protrusions out of it. There is ice that is affixed to the mountain. It doesn't look like it's a very like solid surface where you can just stand on it. You're probably going to be slipping a little bit. It looks very, very dangerous.
Nice.
You climb that cliff, right?
Yeah.
Go on.
Right.
Keej, are we going to into the mountain or on top of the mountain or?
There are several small cliffs and edges that we can stand upon for a moment, but even those edges are but 2 or so feet. When we get up, the first climb is quite some time. There's probably 4 major climbs that we have to make. The last time I was here, I'm trying to remember which mountain it was, but it's one of the taller ones. Each mountain we climb, it gets a little harder just because of the wind. The snow and the ice make it very difficult to traverse, but I'm telling you now, it is not going to be easy.
I just want to. You can like do stuff with rocks. Maybe you can push out some footholds for us or something.
Yeah, if there's enough stone. I can create platforms that we can sit on.
I don't think there's enough snow.
And if it comes to it,
Do we want to like do 2 teams? Zar, you're as strong as me, so we could tie ropes to the people who are not as strong and kind of give them a pull as we're climbing.
Can't he fly?
Yes, but he probably needs all of his spells.
it's only for a limited time
I
too.
can
I don't know where we're
probably-
going.
I can probably carry Ander and tie him to my waist via rope.
You definitely could fly if you wanted to.
Yeah, I can make Wraith big.
Okay.
We can take a couple trips.
Okay, we might want to explain that to Keach before you do that.
So I have a dragon.
Yes.
What do you mean you have a dragon?
Take him out.
Yeah, right, so
He buzzes around. I have a dragon.
kind of looks. What is he going to do?
I can make him bigger, and we can fly up to the mountain instead of this.
All right.
Might be a little more convenient.
Just it may like bring some flashbacks of Dozu. It's not quite the same size, but
He's white.
yeah.
Kind of leans back. All right.
And it is friendly, so just warning you ahead of time. Go ahead.
Friendly warning ahead of time.
Yeah, it's probably a good call.
Friendly, comma, warning.
It's an option.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna make Wraith big now. Okay.
Okay. The energy flows over Wraith once more. The wings start to expand. There's a quick flap. You watch Keej like lean back and kind of trip over his foot into the snow, where he's looking at Wraith. Wraith takes like 2 steps kind of towards him. As he does that, it's just from him like stretching. He just steps down. Keej falling down, pushes in the snow a little bit more, and is leaning back with Wraith looking kind of in his direction. And he walks back and does this like curl kind of path towards the back of Neris where he stands.
I offer my hand.
Reaches up, help him to his feet.
What a gent.
You do have a dragon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very well. Make the climb easier for some of us.
Yeah, I do not mind climbing. But you can take 2 more people besides yourself? Can I take
Depends on who.
these 2?
Yeah, so the
Probably
3
those
of
two.
you.
Maybe even a Xander.
You might
Yeah.
squeeze on. I can
He's
either
small.
you can either fly or I can carry you. It's up to you.
want to
Do you think Skip can climb?
Oh,
What a baby.
They always just think I'm
He-
trying to fly.
and if he doesn't, he's hitting the ground hard.
yeah. It's getting terminal very quick if you
I
fall.
can,
Get terminal very quick if any of us
I
fall.
can make him
Cold IRL.
only for 10 minutes.
It's just how lightweight to get up there.
I think it is. It could be.
The rope technique
I don't know if
doesn't
it's
really work
worth it
with
to
him.
use his spells, but he could do enhance ability and make himself
is all good.
Keej takes out 2 pretty large picks that he gets ready to start climbing with. As for how you guys are getting up there, it's totally up to you. But he's going to start climbing.
Okay.
I'll meet you up there.
All
The
right.
first clearing is right there in between that crack.
Look up and make a note of it.
Yep.
Right. Well, you guys can you?
We couldn't would Skip count as 2 people then? Or is he like...
Yeah, he's super
We
heavy.
could put Skip on the dragon and then you and Sarbrax could carry those, or like help those 2 up?
Yeah, that would work. About how high up is the first cliff?
Probably a good 200 feet.
Okay.
One of you
Just
fancy
dangling
dangling
there.
from a rope off my foot.
I think the waist would be better.
There's that intelligence score coming through.
You might be right.
Thank you.
I appreciate
He takes
you
the
wanting
rope off
to
his
tie-
foot.
It's more of an assistance than anything. They still have to do the brunt of the work, but
Oh, they're gonna climb too?
That'd be fucking
I don't know. I've been known for my strength, so I thought I was just expected to climb up and they hung down.
you can try that,
Shoot, I'll
but
take a ride if that's what you're offering.
it's going to be tough.
I was just trying not to get a concussion from whacking my head on the rock wall.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, guys, I figured out where the wind was coming from. It's
Where?
the mountain.
Yeah.
I told you guys about that before we met. What's his face?
Ogdar?
Yeah, I figured it out finally.
Good to know.
Well, start classic rope out of a bag way longer than it should be.
I'm gonna toss the end of the rope towards Azrael.
Alright, how much foot of rope do you have? Do you have rope on you?
Yeah, I have 50 feet, but I'm pretty sure I at one point cut it into like a 15 foot and a 35 foot. So I'm gonna
Okay.
use.
Should probably use the 15 foot.
Yeah.
Zara standing there with the 35 and the 15. 35, 15. Neris walks over.
I have
Probably
a
is
climb
in 15.
speed, so I can move at basically the same speed as you guys.
Because I can just, it's only 1/3
He's
rope.
getting nervous.
I mean, it's,
And if I'm
and you
putting
can
my hand on
always
the first
recover it too. So it's up to you if you want to do
Go
that.
to Skip and ask if me and him could pray together.
Maybe you and Skip. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Alright.
sure.
It's been a long time. I think I might need it.
Oh right.
There. I have probably an easier thing to do than that, and we can handle it in case it runs out. I just put my hand on Zyverax, and I cast Fly,
Just carry
Okay.
people.
and then I'm also gonna twin spell that, so then I can also fly.
Okay.
Sweet.
So you can just carry him
Bear hug.
and fly up.
I'm just gonna walk up behind him. I'm gonna grab you by the back of your shirt. Be like, you ready?
Ready for what?
I'm just gonna go up.
60 feet around the
Okay.
movement,
Okay.
and it's a 10-minute concentration
How high
check,
do you think we're going up?
or
Like,
concentration for me.
Best
Oh,
guess
okay.
on the first cliff, about 200 feet.
Yeah, but like, that's the first one. Like, then we gotta go higher.
Maybe 1,000. Just don't look down, Ender.
I'm not looking anywhere. I'm gonna have my, if I have my head in your like,
Well,
like
we can't
back,
waste
that's
time.
fine.
And I start going up too.
Pushing my hat down higher so it does not fly away.
Okay.
You and Skip.
While probably choking here and there.
Moldrak kind of stares at the mountain for a little bit long and thinks about the last time he felt something this cold. And then just, with Andrew on his back, just jumps, grabs on, and starts.
Andrew's just fucking.
Alright, so Neris, Skip, and Wraith Alright, so Neris and Skip are on Wraith. Wraith's not able to fly at like his full speed just because of how heavy Skip is. But with everything going on, traveling the fastest is probably a pretty good tie between Moldrak and the people who have fly on them. So with the weather conditions and everything, you're still traveling at a slow pace between the wind and the snow and the icy mountain and whatever it is. So everybody's still traveling at like a slow pace, but in a minute at a slow pace, you can cover 200 feet. That's just like walking. So for you guys climbing, it probably takes you like a good 5 minutes or so to get up to where you need to be. Obviously, the people that are flying get up there a bit sooner. Probably still takes you guys 5 minutes to get up there, and it's just because of the snow coming in. You're trying to maneuver and navigate through it because up here the snow is just coming like right off the mountain. The wind is pushing against you. It's not like pushing you, in any sort of direction because the spell causes you to be able to just kind of manipulate and push your way upward. But as for Kijt and Moldrak, the two of you climbing, you probably get up there within 10 minutes or so. Wraith and Neris and Skip get up there without issue. The clearing that is sitting there, though, Wraith can't really like land on it well, so he's just sitting there flapping and flying with Neris and Skip on his back. You can't really feel the wing beats because of the other wind that is pushing around and through here. But you guys all get up to that first little clearing. Kijt is the last one to kind of summit and get up to that spot. Alright, that was the easy one. The next one we have to go up and around. It's hard to get it from here, and you can see that the cliff edge is kind of like broken and jagged and looks like it goes in a little bit, and there is this just straight drop off as opposed to just kind of climbing up and then going around this mountain spot. This next bit is probably a good 1,000 or so feet.
Alright.
You watch him put on or not put on, but take off his boots. After he takes those off, just kind of like ties around them and then puts them around his neck. You watch him like wiggle his toes and kind of move them and like crack them. He grabs his hands and starts to rub them together and then rubs his feet to try to warm them a little bit. Alright, thank you. Takes his feet towards those, kind of rubs them on the snow, grabs the picks and starts to just climb up and start to traverse up that way. You guys still having the spell attached to you, the 1,000 or so feet. Yeah, you guys will have plenty of time to make it up there with the fly spell. So we'll just travel ahead in time to the point where you guys probably will need to figure something else out in regards to the guys that are flying. You guys you're good on Wraith. You don't have to worry about anything. You'll be able to fly the whole time. Especially because Wraith is like really in his element and the wind and snow doesn't really bother him too much. You being up here though, you're really huddled up against Wraith and kind of tuckered down because of the wind just brutally slamming into you guys. But for those of you that are have the fly spell, so Zarbrex and Connor having this spell on you, you know that it is about to run out in probably a good 5 minutes or so. You guys get up to the last leg of the mountain that you have to climb, and you are now probably pretty damn close to a good 4,000, almost 5,000 feet above the ground below you. You can't see it very well. It looks like this just distant area of a completely different land. You've traveled up this far without any issues, and actually with ease for the most part. You're a little tired and fatigued just from the constant like scratching and climbing upward. You had a couple of calls where like you grabbed a stone and it just kind of broke off, and without issue you just kept going upwards, like latched down with one claw on the other side. Kijt doesn't seem like he's like struggling, but you can definitely tell that he's starting to work up a little bit of a fatigue. Nothing too crazy though. He definitely seems like he could push on. But all of you assemble on what is some sort of a large bit of the mountain where some sort of the top part of the mountain actually has broken off and fallen down at some point. Looking down, you can't really see it, but you'd imagine it's been like this for a while. The ground is still a little rigid and kind of chunky and broken up, but you're able to stand upon it. There's plenty of room for you guys to be on here, along with Wraith landing down for a moment to take a minute. But as for now, if you guys wanted to do another fly spell or whatever it is, you watch Keej to look over. Only a couple more feet, well, a couple hundred more feet. The lair is at the top of that mountain there. The mouth of it,
Let me see it.
you can see from here. Once we get in there, the only way out is jumping.
Okay.
What did you say?
If you want to run, you're better off jumping than trying to climb down. What I'm telling you is there's no turning back once you get up there.
I just look over the edge.
My nose just dangling.
You definitely don't want to look down now, Ender.
I haven't looked anywhere, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm still just staring at your back.
Right. You guys good? Need to do something to keep going?
It's probably like, you can see from where you are, the wind is still like pushing down, but it's not pushing snow in a way to where your vision is heavily obscured. You can see the cave at the top. There is this unnaturally thick ice in a bunch of places, including the face of the mountain itself. Looks like it might be a little harder to actually climb up, but you could do it. Where you're looking at, this cave entrance has these very, very large bits of ice that are coming down. You can see that it is probably a good 50 or so foot wide in diameter entryway into it. You can see why you wouldn't be able to just see it from down below. You are very, very high up. And looking at where it is, there's a lot of snow that is covered on top of it as well that makes it kind of blend in with the mountainside itself. And the cave entrance that is up here does not look naturally made. It almost looks like something carved all of this out and created it for their own, and you'd imagine Deizu did so. So it is up to you how you want to proceed, but you can see the entrance to the cave probably 300 feet from you. A little bit of a climb up.
I cast Fly on us again.
Okay.
Hang on, Ender.
Quickly take another. Oh, shit. Used to think not too long ago I was getting wasted in a bar 24/7. Here we are.
Alright, time for round 4, 5, 3, I don't know. Let's go.
Fuck it.
All right. On Wraith, you fly up and over towards the entrance. Zarfrax, grab Azrael and start flying upward. Connor, you fly up towards the top as well, and Ander, you are pretty much holding on to Moldrak for dear life as Moldrak begins to climb right in front of Keej, who is behind. You can hear the sounds of the pike clicking and clanking into the ice itself, along with Moldrak's claws digging into it. The wind is constant and always there. First up there is Wraith, along with Neris and Skip. Getting to the top, the wind that is blowing out of the cave, it doesn't seem like it's coming out. It seems like it's coming from the top of the mountain where the cave entrance is, so it's just kind of like pushing down. So the wind is still up here, but it's not as intense or unruly. Looking in, you can see that there is probably a good 80 or so foot tunnel that you can see down that looks like it curves just a little bit, and the tunnel itself is completely encased in ice, like this silvery, icy blue color that goes all the way down it. It's actually kind of beautiful, but at the same time intimidating, because it's just this 50-foot wide circle that is just covered in nothing but ice. You kind of get up, and Wraith lands down. Skip jumps off. You get down as well, or stay on Wraith, whatever you wish to do, but you're waiting up there as everybody starts to get up. At that point, Zarvarex, Azrael, and Connor get up to the top of the cave entrance as well, where you guys see the same very, very large cave entrance, completely encased in ice. Followed by Moldrak and Ander.
I just kind of, before I climb up to the top, dangle with one leg and one claw over the side and look down. And then I climb up.
What's wrong with this man?
You feel yourself go from like this to just kind of like, hold on, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Sure, I'll
He
help.
reaches back around, grabs, pulls up. You are very, very high up, and you can see the just straight, sheer drop from the cliff's edge at the very top of this mountain here, that if you were to fall from would surely mean death. There's not really a doubt about it.
And if I feather fall.
Is it a little harder to breathe up here?
The altitude that you're at definitely causes you to, you feel the shortness of breath, but it's not high enough quite yet to where you start to really feel any of the intense effects of it. There's a little bit of lightheadedness. You pretty much gradually getting up here as well with your long, nearly week-long walk to get here acclimates your body enough to the pressure and everything to where you're a little better off, especially with your gradual climb, instead of just like instantly like jumping up levels. So you're okay, but you definitely feel the shortness of breath, and for the time being you're not sure if it's the nerves or if it's the height, but it's nothing too intense. Like I said, lightheadedness, a little shortness of breath, but nothing that's really going to kill you immediately. Right.
Cool. Just like over time we'll die. That's great to know. Great to know.
At this point, you guys are all up here,
Kind of knows about
caged. Caged is probably only like a good 2 or 3 minutes behind. All of you now standing up here, looking into the cave entrance. You all kind of take a breath. You can feel your heart thumping in your chest. Caged ascends to the top now, pushes his arms up and gets to the top, where he takes the axe that he's had on his back around, the picks that he has, puts in his pocket.
Kind of didn't think about it, but what if he just leaves?
What if we all just leave?
No, you go like the dragon.
Yeah.
It's all the way he went.
Yeah, I guess so.
We probably could have like done a trap or like lured her away from the mountain,
Yeah.
something.
Let's just
Instead, we
do
just
it.
climbed up the mountain.
Let's go
Yeah.
for
Bunch
it.
of buffoons.
Hindsight is 2020, but here we are. So
True. Kind of for the
And
last
some
100 feet is what I
commentary.
was thinking about though. Like, she could just leave, and yeah. We'd have to climb back down.
had like 8 hours
Just
to
jump.
think about this.
Well,
We'd climb all the way down and she'd just fly back up.
2 million IQ.
it's our lair.
Have a plan of attack.
Don't all stand in one spot.
That's probably a good call.
We'll try talking to
Hit
her
her with
first.
that.
Inward.
I don't think a
Yeah.
dragon like this is going to accept any talking, but you
We
can
thought that last
surely
time.
try. And it didn't work out, did it?
No, my rolls were bad.
We think this might
First
be
of all,
might be
The other
worse.
dragon was in like a different realm or
Yes.
something.
He also was
Yes.
like
And
really
it-
angry at like the overly angry at
That
the world.
and it was also companions with a person before.
Yeah.
This one
Is wild.
is wild,
But how do you
But
know?
less angry
From
at the
everything
world.
I've ever known about dragons,
very angry. It just froze a
they have a
village.
reason for their actions.
Okay.
We
Somebody
should
must
at least
fuck
try
with
to
him,
find
right?
out why
Cool.
Dezu has come here and see if there's anything perhaps we could do. I do not feel comfortable just blindly attacking this creature.
How do you propose we prevent it from attacking?
If it attacks us, we defend ourselves. But
The whole reason we came here, though, was to kill it. That's the end goal.
We did promise we would do that.
Well, if it can be reasoned with.
you promised to do that.
I know.
I never made this promise.
Can it just fart?
Well,
What if there's a way to get rid of the dragon without killing it?
Where would it go?
There's a vast amounts of space, other places north of here.
And it'll just do the same thing to the people there.
I think the Goliaths
Well, if
want
we can figure out
retribution for what
what's
it did to
causing her
them.
to, like,
Yes.
act out, terrorize villages.
And their friend from long ago.
Maybe we can solve that problem. I don't know, I'm just spitballing ideas here, whatever spitballing really is, but
I mean, if you want, you can beat the shit out of it and then leave, and then we'll finish. But we don't feel comfortable seeing that.
we could also figure out what we do upon entry. See how it plays out.
It's just a weird situation for me to be in.
Nah, I get that.
You don't say.
I don't have any issues with killing an evil dragon that needs to be put down, but I don't know. What if she just has a bad splinter or something?
I'd like to be that optimistic.
Splinter in the foot. But you kill everyone. I've seen everything.
They'll die for us.
Turns into a gold dragon after we pull the splinter out.
Well,
So,
so
if you want to try and reason with this dragon, we'll be there to back you up. But,
time to push forward.
yeah.
Is there anything you can do to, does your rock magic work on this ice? Like, can you block the entrance or some of it? Or
It's too big.
how about ropes? We have enough ropes. Maybe we could anchor, tie some ropes to it if it's asleep. Try to maybe to anchor it, make it hard to fly out.
Like, block it with, like, rope? I don't know if I have enough rope for that. What's the
I don't.
circumference of
50
this?
feet wide.
I only have 48.
The only way this dragon's leaving this cave is if we actually bring it close enough to death that it feels threatened. Otherwise, it's going to stand its ground and fight to the very last breath that it can.
Well, we don't want it to get out on that last breath.
It's good to know.
Luckily, we also have a dragon, so we have ways of going over it.
That dragon chase would be so cool.
Nere's
Just
just
like-
behind.
Pull over.
The arrows are.
Right.
I like you missing.
Wodrak up here. He's on an owl. Oh,
There's a
makes sense.
stormtrooper.
He just tucks his wing.
Wait, we have the owl prepared. You want me to fly it too? I'm not flying. I'm telling you right now, the owl grabbed me. I'm closing my eyes and I'm holding on to the owl.
Throw cards blindly.
I was thinking more maybe you could tie a rope to the dragon, try to anchor it while it's asleep, assuming it is sleeping. To make it difficult to move.
There is one thing that we're really bad at in this group, and that's being sneaky.
I also don't know if it'd be sleeping.
Small.
I think a few hours ago I saw it
That is true.
flying.
I think I seen a wing or something like that too.
Yeah,
Well, it's an option if it is.
That is true.
we can keep it in mind. I don't know if we have enough rope though.
I
We
gave
don't-
I gave my rope away a long
I have
time
one
ago.
bundle on me.
We don't
He's
even
got
know how long it
fragments,
is.
and
It
there's
says
that.
I have 50 feet of rope, but I'm 100% sure I've used it all just doing random
Random
shit.
shit, yeah. I have about 40 feet and 50 feet separately, but
I have 48 feet.
I have silk rope. Really good for holding dragons.
And just tie it all together.
strong tensile strength. Alright,
Any other plans, ideas?
For what it's worth, dragons are extremely territorial. Chances are we're going to have to kill it, and I understand that. But
So
I'm just
it's
trying to
worth
make sure this whole
trying.
journey wasn't for nothing.
I don't
Because
know.
I'm freezing my ass off right now.
I don't really have anything that can hold it in place. I can try and paralyze it, but I don't know if that will work. Oh, well, if it does try to get away, I can use my sentinel feet to stop it from moving entirely. So,
Boost roll that.
well, he might be too large. If he's, I think if he's bigger than huge, I can't do it.
Oh yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
missed you too, man.
Is it possible Wraith could freeze the entrance shut when we get in there? Maybe we could, when the time comes, bolt our way out.
That could be our
They
own
sure can
undoing, though. In case we need to. We're either going to die in here or we're going to jump out, so.
Freeze it. It looks like we have the advantage, I guess.
Doesn't make sense that we can use ice rope against this dragon.
You might like it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just heal from it. She'll just heal from it.
Okay, well, let's keep going.
Caged at this point has not been near you. He is standing at the edge, holding the axe, looking out over everything. You see him kind of look up before he turns around to...
You might have been muted this whole time, Eric.
Oh boy.
Only since you went to the bathroom earlier.
You turn around. He turns around and walks towards you.
That's my bad.
Alright. I'm ready. I hope you are too.
Short as we can be.
Just give like a quick glance in there. Does not look like it's gonna be good enough area to use that rifle. Not optimal conditions and distances.
Where you're looking at right now, there's about an 80-foot tunnel that leads in. So you're not really sure how big it is further in, but looking at the mountain itself, there is potential for it to be pretty big inside.
I'm gonna give both of them superior healing potions. And I'm gonna offer one to Keach. Like, if you get into real trouble, drink this.
Takes it.
It's like, I'm in real trouble now!
I'm just gonna leave my gun unassembled then.
Okay.
Here comes the money.
Take a moment to check the drum and make sure it's all loaded.
Alright. As you're walking in, Azrael begins to load the gun. Or not the gun, the
Crossbow.
crossbow. It's already loaded. No, yeah, you're
Revolver.
checking. Yeah, you're checking both. My bad. Check the revolver. It's all good.
Assuming that isn't too windy, I'll light a cigar too, because
Yeah, once you get
could
in
be
the
the
cave,
last.
once you get in the cave, it's a lot calmer with the wind, but there's still a little bit. Take the cigar and light it without issue.
I have like 2 left.
You begin to walk in. You can feel your heart beating the further you get in. It looks like a long walk, the 80 feet that you're taking. And before you start to get around the bend to get further in, that is where we're going to pick it up next week.
Alright.
Every time.
Time to kill the white dragon.
Thank you for watching. Like I said, please be sure to keep watching. Get that average of 3 viewers for our affiliate status. Check out the Patreon. Check out the YouTube, all that stuff. Merry Christmas, everybody. Be safe. Take care.
Merry Christmas.